Yes, people, and welcome back to Spurs Kings TV. It's your boy Ashmatic with another analytical show. I've got a couple of guests with me tonight just to help me go through things. First of all, I want to bring on Luke from Spotlight on Spurs. Have I said that right?
Spotlight on Spurs.
Spotlight on Spurs. I apologize. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. How about you?
Chilling, bro. Chilling. I'm on the beach, man. I'm on the beach right now. That's what I'm gonna
You got
say.
that 2.5 week holiday now.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. Thank goodness, man. I need it, man. But yes, we also have a returnee as well, and he goes by the name of Dan E. the Hotspur Hood. How you doing?
Same Spurs, different day. Apart from that, mate, all good.
Cool, man. We're gonna get straight into it, man. And the my co-host will be here anytime soon. And the question he wanted to ask you guys, and I think I'll start with Luke on this one. But he wanted to ask, where are you now with Ange since the last video, the last time we saw you?
Not much has changed really, to be honest with you. I always felt that the Europa League was going to be the one that he's going to be kind of judged on at the end of the season from the board. All of the stories coming out kind of sit in that same kind of ilk at the moment. I'm not a massive fan of some of the people that are being put up as a potential replacement. I think if there was some star quality in there, maybe I'd be thinking slightly differently. But when I go and we look at signing managers that are 10th, 9th, 8th, they're not really doing it for me. I think that they all come with their own issues and problems. Some are similar to Ange in certain aspects. So I think it all comes down to Europa League at the moment. So I think he's definitely making a few mistakes. And I think there's a lot of bigger things at this club at this moment in time. We've had mistakes left, right, and centre. The whole club needs to be gutted and restarted, I think.
So just to stay on that, the Premier League form before we go into the Europa, because I know you're saying he needs Europa basically to show his worth. But how do you feel about the Premier League form? Because I know everyone's gone through the stats. I think the stats are something like 15 L's, this season. I think it's like a record high since 2007, something crazy like that. I'm not really keeping count, but could be statistically like
There's too many, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think Dan might have the stats, so I don't want to rail them all off, but it's not looking good. Do you know what I mean? And are you concerned at all about the league form?
Yeah, of course. It's not good enough. Of course, it's not. There's no talking about excuses and reasons and everything else. There's no excuse to be losing this many games. There isn't. But there's a lot of factors in this season as to why we've got. It's almost like everything's led to this season. Do you know what I mean? Like even the summer window, the winter windows, for a club that we are, they're simply not good enough to sign one. In the two windows that we've had, or the last two windows we've signed one first team player to start to improve the 11. It's not good enough. When you go back to the injuries to Van der Ven and Romero, when did they get injured? Late October, early November. We had 2 months to plan for January, and we go and sign a centre back in February. It's like it's just incompetence in every single scale, and not just from right away through the club from top to bottom. So I feel like, again, bringing in certain people that are being named, they're going to be hitting the same issues. They're going to have the same problems that every other manager's had for the last God knows how long. And we are essentially banking on someone way overperforming and doing a Pochettino basically, and that doesn't happen. It's just one-off sort of thing. We're banking on the Ranieri season, the Leicester season. We're banking on even the season we got to the Champions League final. We was 10th or 8th, wherever we was. We was terrible. Didn't win an away game in nearly a year. So we're banking on that as a club, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, I hear it, man. I'm going to bring Dan E onto this one as well, just to quickly get your thoughts on it as well. Like, I haven't seen you for a while, but like, obviously we lost against Fulham. I just wanted to get your thoughts basically on Ange at the moment. Has anything changed for you? Do you think he should be here till the end of the season? Yeah, just give me your thoughts, man, real quick.
Look, the sad question is that it's got to the point, should he be end of the season. My man should have been gone a long time ago. He's useless, and it shows it. You go give this manager, let's say an average team, Bournemouth, yeah, just out the window, Bournemouth, or you go and give them another team. The reason they're doing better, like even Nottingham Forest, go give him Nottingham Forest. My man's getting them relegated straight. Why? Because of his style of play. Simple as. No other reason. Those other teams above us, who shouldn't really be above us, they've got a plan. They've got good tactics. They've got a manager who can adapt to certain games. They've got a manager who doesn't just play the same stupid way every game. They've got managers who know how to think a game of football. And if you look at it player for player, we got a better team. We got a manager that basically plays every player out of sync, doesn't play them to their capabilities, doesn't play them the right way. We got a manager that refuses to change. We got look with the stats here that I'll bring up later. Yeah, this man should not be at Tottenham. He shouldn't be here. I mean, he wouldn't. Any other club that's smaller than us as such, like I said, he'll get them relegated.
Well, can I ask you a question just on that?
Go for it.
What one thing do you look for to identify as a well-coached team? Because you did speak about the tactics there. So, in your head, what does a well-coached team look like? What are the attributes you consider to have a team to be well-coached?
I look at it like a game of poker, basically. I mean, I've said this on other shows, and at times you can only play with the cards you got, and you can only bluff it so many times, and then people catch you out. And he just cannot play with the cards he's got. He only wants to play his way, and he wants them to play his way, but they can't play his way. But he's still like, you're playing my way. I call a well-coached team a team that can defend, a team that knows when it is time to step back and defend, a team that knows when it is time to go forward, a team that looks like it knows what it's doing, not when it's played player by player, basically. I want that team to know what my other man on that team is doing. This team is lost. Nobody seems to know what anybody's doing most of the time. We're caught out of position how many times. We're conceding exactly the same goals game after game that we did last season. I want a team that you can see there is a plan, that you can see they know what they're doing. I want my team to know when to defend, when to attack, not just play kamikaze football and try and get it up there and not have a clue how to defend. I want my team to be worked. I'm a believer. You can get an average team out there. You play everyone the right way. You play the right formation. You play the players to their ability. You can have a very good team. Go and take one of the best teams you can name out there. You play everyone out of sync, everyone out of their capability, everyone out of position. You'll make them a bang average team at best. I like my team to be organised at the end of that. And this team has got no organisation to it whatsoever.
Luke, do you agree with what Dan was saying? And also the same question to you. What does a well-coached team look like to you in your opinion? What do you associate with a well-coached team? What type of like characteristics?
Yeah. I mean, similar to what Dan's saying. Obviously, you want good structure. You want to know where people are supposed to be. You want to see good triangles. I like to see certain passing triangles. I agree with all of that, but I also think that as Spurs, we've never been able to be solid defensively. This has been a problem. It was a problem under Mourinho. It was a problem under Conte. It doesn't make a difference who or what tactics we put out. We can't defend. It's just the crowd don't like it when we sit back. We concede silly goals. I remember under Conte, there were so many goals we conceded, saying, "Why are we sitting back? We should be pushing forward." We went out of the Champions League because we sat back against AC Milan when we needed to score the goals and we didn't. So then we wanted a complete refresh as a fan base. We wanted to start playing more attacking football, going for it like Spurs used to do. And then now we've got that, and it's don't get me wrong, it's to an extreme. I completely agree, but when you've got, like, I watched that Fulham game, and when you've got players like Basuma, when you've got players like Bentancur or Doggy, forget tactics, they couldn't pass the ball 5 yards. I think we, as a fan base, way overrate some of our players. And I've been seeing loads of people talk about the Bournemouth manager and saying that their Bournemouth front three they've got a better front three than what we've got at the moment. So when we say our players are better, there are certain ones that are definitely better. I mean, your Romero's, your Van der Vens, they're very, very good players. But how good are we? I don't think we're a top 4, top 5 club at this moment in time with the squad we've got.
Just to go back on what you said, like I think personally it's the manager that picks the team, and I just don't understand against Fulham why he would pick that midfield to go against Fulham away at Craven Cottage. For me, like you've got a front three of Solanke, you've got Tell on the left, and then you've got Johnson on the right. Now we know on the wings, if you're going to have that midfield three of Archie Gray, Basuma, and Benton Core, you're basically saying we're not going to have any creativity through the middle. That's my opinion. That's what you're conceding that from the very start.
Yeah.
And when I look at the reason why I asked that question is when I look at a manager tactically, I think you know what the true ambition and the real idea of what the manager's trying to achieve by the first half. Like the tactics he sets out is by the first, how we set up in the first half. That's basically what he was trying to do to nullify the opposition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think the second half is when you realize, okay, maybe I might have got it wrong. And that's when you make the halftime substitutions. That's you admitting the tactics I deployed in that first half was wrong. So for me, that midfield three, and I know people will say, they've been saying it all week, that, you know, you can't have this Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday thing and not expect rotation. And we've been complaining that, you know, players have been picking up injuries because Ange has not been rotating the squad properly. But there's the other side of the argument where we don't have a game because there's a 2-week international. You could have an argument to say Odegaard had 290 minutes, so maybe you could rest him.
I think it's free, isn't it? I think he's had
390 minutes. So you could have okay. So you've got a case for Odegaard not to start, right? Son, obviously, he's aging, so you're gonna say, look, fair enough. Give Tell a chance. He didn't have any minutes in those other games, so you're gonna say, right, Tell gets the chance. Solanke, for me, the way Ange wants to press, I think Solanke's the only kind of number 9 we have where the ball kind of sticks to him and he's able to bring other players in and he's able to press. Goals inside the box and his clinicalness is another issue. But let me just land this other point. So I'm looking at it in the midfield and I'm saying, look, you've got players that are defensive midfield, they're defensively minded, but you're asking them to do different jobs. You're asking them either to win the ball high up the pitch and be aggressive and do a lot of running, or you're just saying like Fulham are a better team than us, so we need these more physical kind of defensive players inside the actual midfield three. But then I just thought Maddison had been hooked in a lot of games where he's been taken off like 16 minutes to go, 17 minutes to go. He's the one player I thought you could possibly utilize because we're lacking creativity in that midfield three. And the wingers, it's not like Johnson's mad creative. He's not like our most creative player. And then Tell, we haven't really seen him on the left. So it's a bit of a gamble, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? I know, like, out of the positions, he looks more comfortable on the wings compared to when he's up front. But I would have said, look, I'm not going to rely on Tell and I'm not going to rely definitely not on Johnson. So I need a little bit of creativity, in my opinion, in the middle. And I think Maddison, in my opinion, needed to start there. And I think that first half was so dross. I'm so glad I was out taking my son on a walk that I didn't have to enjoy that first half. But like, Dan, what do you think, man? Like, do you think that Fulham performances on Ange? Because some fans think, you know, he's got a fair point. You know, players need to be rotated. You know, if Bergvall got that penalty, he could have scored that goal. Do you know what I'm saying? Solanke had a chance. He was unlucky not to finish. And on another day, we could have got a draw. But how do you see it, man?
I'm the first one to agree with the rotation thing, and I've been saying it along with others for a while. The reason we had ourselves in the injury predicament was because of Ange. What idiot goes out there and plays two semi-fit defenders against a team like Chelsea and then goes, oh my God, my main two defenders are now out for the next, 3 months, 2 months, whatever. The style of play he plays and the lack of rotation he did busted at least 5 of our players out of how many got injured. That was down to him. I've been wanting him to use rotation for a while, but go and change 7 players for a game. That's not rotation. And he didn't have to do that. And for me, if it would have been a Europa game in 4 days' time, like from Sunday to Thursday, you know what? I'm with him. Go change 4 players. When there's like a 19 to 25 day difference to the next Europa game, why is he not putting out the best team? What, is he keeping them fit for the international people or something? Again, I would have thought my man learned his mistake from the first time he did this and changed 9 players. Lo and behold, who was it against? Fulham. And he goes and changes 7 this time and wonders why he gets his ass kicked again. The manager, if he would have been using rotation through the season, I don't think we'd have had some of the problems we had. Not with the injuries. I mean, look how worn out some of them players were. So you've got to rotate your team, no two ways about it. But when there's like 19 days until your next game or whatever it is, what's he doing? What is he actually doing? And then to start a game where you need to score a goal, which you always need to score a goal, there's not one creative player on that pitch. Why is Maddison not starting that game? Is it something personal between them? Or did something go on behind the books? We don't know. I think Maddison just confronted him and told him, look, your system ain't working, and Ange didn't like it. Who's meant to create? Basuma ain't going to do it. Bentancur ain't going to do it. Who did he expect to create anything? Where was the connection from defence to up front? Nothing. He played basically exactly the same way. Yeah, he rotated players, but 7? Now, again, I'll say it one more time. If we had the Europa game on the Thursday, change 4 or 5 of them. Fine. But with that many difference and he makes 7 changes when he didn't even need to. Well, I mean, and you said about Odobert, he's played the past, 2 games, 90 minutes, 3 games, 90 minutes?
I mean, it's 3 out of 4 or something. He's played quite a bit of
minutes.
Yeah,
my heart bleeds. Yeah. He's a football player. What's my man meant to do?
But don't forget, he wasn't supposed to be back till the end of the season. I think this is what a lot of fans are forgetting. There's a lot of injuries that people have come back from early, like Odobert. He wasn't supposed to be available until April. He's here in mid-March. So then playing him 4 games on the trot when he gets injured again, then it becomes a big pile on that Ange shouldn't have played him, and then he drops him, and then people say he should have played. He's in a no-win situation, and part of that is because of how many losses we've got. So anything he does, people don't.
Okay, I'll go with that then. Yeah, like he shouldn't be playing 4. He shouldn't be playing like 4 games, 90 minutes because he come back early. Yeah. Yeah. So what's he doing 3 games, 90 minutes then? If he's come back early. Shouldn't he just be doing 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there? What's the difference?
He hasn't got injured is a good thing. And if that is the case, then it's exactly what he's done with Van der Ven. And I've been hearing people tell me that Van der Ven should have started yesterday. So there has to be some sort of balance. I think that's where the problem is. At the moment, there's a lot of anger in the fan base, and rightly so. But I think a lot of it is coming from what we've seen over the years, and at the moment, Ange is the full guy for that. We've had injuries for 15 years, and quite ironically, the guy who scored the goal yesterday, Ryan Sessegnon, he was out with hamstring injuries his whole Spurs career, and he wasn't under Ange. So, and I think this is what is another thing that's forgotten about. There's a multitude of reasons why there's so many injuries now. Ange's style of play is 100%. That is definitely one. The lack of rotation at the start of the season is definitely one. But there's other reasons behind it. We play more games. We play longer games. VAR's taking longer to make decisions. So therefore players stand around more, picking up injuries. And we've also got a terrible medical team. And Ange started Van der Ven and Romero on the basis that the medical team said that they could play, and then Romero got a completely different injury on the day that he got taken off.
Are you telling me that my manager isn't clued up enough to know that maybe the players weren't fit enough himself? I mean, come on. If he's a football manager, like people, I get your point, yeah. But at the end of the day, if he's a manager for 26 years and he's so clued up like everyone says he is, because he's been a manager for 26 years, shouldn't he have actually had an idea that maybe I shouldn't have started both these players because they're literally back their first game from being injured?
I agree.
Isn't that just common sense?
No, I agree. I wouldn't have started both. But if the medical team have passed them and they both said they want to play, and Romero's definitely not one to say he doesn't want to play. So I have no doubt Romero said, I want to play. And the Van der Ven is a different case. I don't know. I'm sure he wouldn't have said he doesn't want to play, but he's been past fit. And that's on. I don't think re-injuries can be Ange's problem. That's the medical.
Do you think Van der Ven's system is dependent? Van der Ven. Do you think Ange's system is dependent on Mickey Van der Ven? Because
100%.
When Mickey Van der Ven plays, the team push higher up the pitch. We're able to squeeze the opposition. We're able to press a lot more. I feel like the midfield trusts what's behind them a lot more because he's able to sweep up and clean up on the the quick transitions, the quick counter attacks. He's able to recover that ball, turn it back over. And also what I noticed as well the other day, when he did play, he was able to start the attacks himself. He would actually carry the ball out from the back and literally like break lines that way. It wasn't always successful, but he would get the ball up the pitch. He's so aggressive. He's so fast. Do you think that is a major part of why we're not playing so well and we're missing Van der Ven so much? And also just on top of that, with Mickey Van der Ven being fit, because I think he was interviewed and they asked him about him coming back, and he said like do you reckon he could play 2 or 3 games? And he did actually respond back saying he feels like he trusts himself now, he can play a few more games. Not saying he should play like 2 or 3 games in a row, but obviously in the second half he wasn't featured at all, and Ben Davies got dunked on by Sessegnon. Do you think that was a mistake by Ange possibly not to play Mickey Van der Ven, Luke?
I don't think it. I think if he is pivotal to the way that we play, and if he gets injured, then there's no point. Even the Europa League's completely gone. I think he's that.
So would you have risked him? You would have. You would have risked him.
To be honest, the only thing I was shocked about was that he was even in the squad. I think there was a conversation that was said afterwards. I can't remember if it was Ange who said it, and said that he's got a week to prepare, or he's got a few weeks to get fit, or something like that. And I thought, that to me says he won't be even involved against Fulham. So, but exactly what you said about him being key to it, that's the one problem with our squad, is that we've got a lot of players that we've got so many players that have different profiles that if one drops out, then there's no cohesion there. Like, as I say, like if we use Van der Ven as an example, he drops out and we bring in Ben Davies, is probably the left centre back. I mean, you can't be 2 players any further apart. You know what I mean? And I think that's the clear problem here, is that we haven't got a squad capable of being able to mix it when we move a player on, or a player gets injured, or a player's got to get taken off, the players that are coming on. Because against Fulham, when we had Romero there, we was pretty solid. They didn't create much. It was a pretty nonsense game, really. There was nothing really going on. And then as soon as you take Romero out and you go back to a centre-back pairing of your 5th and 6th choice, you then struggle. And I think that's the problem. I mean, even like that game yesterday would have been a Danzo and Romero, probably a team. That would have probably been the team that would have played. Sunday. But Danzo's then injured, and it's just a continuation of things that are continually happening. But we don't have, as I say, I go back to it. We don't have the players to come in and swap out. They're just not that good.
So is that the I'll let Dan come in after this, but do you not think then? Because I'm looking at his history. I'm going on transfer market. I'm looking at Ange's transfer market history in terms of injuries, and from what I can see, he had quite a few injuries, like similar at Yokohama when he was in Japan, and then that followed him on to Celtic, And then from Celtic now at Spurs in his first season, he suffered quite a lot of injuries, muscle injuries as well. So recurring muscle injuries. And then this season, he's suffered similar injuries again in terms of muscle fatigue, where players are missing, key players as well, are missing quite a lot of games where it's affecting our form. And I'm starting to think, all right, supposing we were to win the Europa Cup and we did have two games again, and this time it was not Thursday, Sunday, it was actually now Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday against better opposition. Is he not going to have the similar type of problems? Because you're not going to be able to rotate. Well, if you rotate in the league, you might have the same problems. But in Champions League, you need to play a pretty damn strong team pretty much every time. Anyone can jump in, bro. No, it's not. Go on, Luke.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that comes down to the squad needs improvements. And as I say, over the last two windows, we've signed one player to improve our first 11 in Solanke, and that's it. Nobody else has come into it to. They've improved the squad, but they're not improving the starting 11. And if you bring a player in that improves your starting 11, you then improve your squad, because that person who was a starter then becomes your backup player or becomes your rotation player. And that's the problem, is that are we going to bring in these players that are going to make our first team better?
So out of nearly 400 million and 16 players, Ange only picked Solanke.
No, Ange picked all the youngsters. Of course he did. And Ange has already said that he's backed every single signing that we've made. But
out of all those signings, only one of them was good enough for the first 11.
Well, do you think any of them were better? That should be.
No, I'm asking you. What
I don't.
The manager be better picking better players then? Shouldn't the manager instead of picking some player like Brendan Johnson?
Manager doesn't sign all the players. He gets given target. Brennan Johnson's the one he definitely wanted. Solanke's the one he basically said, I don't want anybody else. But everyone else, signing Archie Gray, player of the year in a championship. If someone turns around and says, do you want to sign him? Angie's no doubt going to say, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a different option then. Archie Gray, good point, yeah. Archie Gray, good point. I think he's a boy with potential. Nothing more, nothing less, because I haven't seen nothing of him special. I've seen us buy him for 40 million, basically, 30 and a player worth 10 million.
Yeah.
To play as a centre mid when he's never going to get a centre mid place because he's got 5 players there who take his place in front of him. He plays as a right back when he's not a bloody right back, really. He plays as a centre back when he's not a centre back, and he's done respectable when he plays there. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, what can you expect of him, yeah? But instead of going and spending 40 million on a kid that isn't even going to get game time and is only lucky he got game time because of injuries, same as Bergville will never be seeing that pitch if there weren't injuries. Shouldn't we have gone 40 million on a player that could get in that first team now?
Yes, but again, that's on the owners and the recruitment team to go and get them players.
Right, but you just said Ange picked them.
No, the manager approves them. The manager says, "Do you want to?" They're not going to go and sign someone he's got.
So shouldn't the manager then turn around and say, "I don't want a kid in my team. I want a player that can do it now"?
Yep, and he done that in January and said he wants more experience. And guess what? He got nothing. Like, this is what I'm saying. This has happened for years. This happened under every single manager. The reason why Mourinho went, fans tell me, is because he wasn't backed. The reason why Conte went is because he wasn't backed. And nor has Ange been backed. He spent loads of money. Yes, he has. The club spent loads of money. Yes, they have. They've spent it on players that are going to come good in 3, 4, 5 years' time. Doesn't help now. That's the problem.
Hopefully.
That's the problem. And this is what I mean, is there's so many problems that have gone way before, but Kane and Son have covered up all of these cracks.
If you want to turn this into a Levy thing, yeah, then we'll be here for the next 6 hours, yeah? I get all that, yeah? Levy is the problem. I know all this, yeah? 100%. But are you telling me that 100%, I'll agree with you 1,000,000% on that one, Levy is the issue. But are you telling me Ange had nothing to do with none of those signings and couldn't have put his foot down just a little bit and said, well, I don't want a 19-year-old, I want that player there? Or are you telling me that Ange has got that lower standards that he goes and accepts Timo Werner for the second season?
The Timo Werner one was at the very start of the window, wasn't it? So I think that was just that we haven't got much else to go for at the moment, and they extended it. I think at the back end of last season he's got his clear faults, but I think he was a decent average option. I think he's got worse and worse, to be honest with you. But we don't Levy and the conversations that they're kind of having. He may have turned around and said that he wanted more. As I say, at the start of the summer window, he said towards the end of the summer window, he quite clearly said in press conferences he wanted another centre back. We didn't sign another centre back. Romero and Van de Ven got injured, and then we're playing Gray there. Towards the end of January, it wasn't even the end of January. At the start of January, the end of December, he was turning around and saying, we need to get experienced players in. We need these young players. They need support. We need players in. We signed a goalkeeper, and then we didn't sign another player until the start of Feb. So he is turning around and saying what he wants. He's quite clearly, what was it? It was Gallagher that he clearly wanted. He wanted him like no one, and we didn't go and get him. So I'm not saying that we haven't spent money. 100% money's been spent, but we haven't spent it on the right players, and they've not come in to improve. There's no one can sit there and look at them signings and say, yes, they're going to improve our 11. So we was fifth last year, and a lot of teams fell away, and we didn't. We improved our starting 11 with one player. That's not how you improve. You improve by signing 2 or 3 players. And the thing is, we've still got. I mean, I don't think anyone thought Brennan Johnson last year was the answer.
I mean, Gallagher, I'd have been happy with, but if I remember right, didn't Ange make a statement of what was it? How he said it? Something along the lines of, if these 2 youth players like Bergvall and Gray wouldn't have been so good, then we would have looked to buy more players. Like I was happy with what we got.
Yeah, to be honest, I think journalists have this sort of
no. And said that clean on TV. And said that clean.
They have this sort of rhetoric every single time. It's the same things that come out from the club, from the manager. It's obvious that we needed more, and it's the same thing. It's again, we didn't go and get the players. I'll tell you what we do. We put a £70 million bid for Gay 5 minutes before the transfer window ends. Oh, look, we tried.
We know that was BS. We know that.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm not for once sitting here saying Ange's got no faults. I've said this to like every time I'm on any stream. I'm not saying he has no faults. What I'm saying is the faults are bigger than him. And if we go into summers and windows and transfers and we're signing these sorts of players, then a team's not going to get better. That's it. So I think that this year we should have been looking at 6th, 7th. That's where we should aim. That's where we should have aimed with the squad that we had.
Yeah, I could have quite happily agreed with that with the squad we had, and realizing that this squad cannot do it 100% his way. A good manager would adapt, not totally change his whole style, but would adapt to the players he's got. Like I said, it's like playing poker. You can only bluff it so long, and at the end of the day, you can only play with the cards you got. My man is officially the worst Tottenham Hotspur manager since the English Premier League started. I mean, let's just go through a couple of things. From a manager's point of view, when you see things happening, okay, people can go on about the injuries. We were losing these games before the injuries.
We wasn't.
Leicester. Yes, we was. What was Leicester and Ipswich then?
After 11
bar
games,
one player out, we lost to Ipswich, Leicester, and Palace.
After 11
teams had not even won a game yet.
After 11 games, we were 3 points off third. We wasn't as bad as everyone makes out. We wasn't good, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we was in great.
But we was losing the games with a full team, same as we was losing them with the injuries. We lost to Ipswich, Palace, and Crystal Palace, and 2 of those teams hadn't even won a game in the Premier League yet. Yeah. So this injury thing, I get it. An injury makes your team worse, whatever, and that I get that. But the problem was we was losing these games sort of before. The problem I have with this manager on how he cannot adapt this and how anyone can accept this. Right, let's just go through. I'll make this quick and short and sweet. Yeah, 27 defeats from the last 57 games, 1.17 on average PPG this season. 15 defeats from 29. We could equal our worst Premier League record ever of 19 defeats. 52% loss ratio in the season. 10 points off our worst Premier League total, 44. Conceded over 105 goals. Over 105 goals in 67 games. I mean, the fact that we've lost 3 London derbies in a row, okay, that hurts, but it is what it is for me, yeah? Last 20 league games, only the bottom 3 have less points. Only 4 teams this season have fewer points, and that's the bottom 3 and Wolves. And only 2 teams have worse away records with us. So go with that, and then I'll bring up you about another 30 stats.
No, I'm not saying
Make it
that.
right. Make it right.
I'm not saying
Justify it.
that the
Justify
season's
it.
been. You can't justify it because the season's not been good enough, and then no
So
one.
my man should be adapting. So my man should be seeing something's not right and changing his style a bit. Not the whole system,
I
but
agree.
realizing that maybe playing two inverted wing backs up to a number 10 position where
But
our
he
number
hasn't
10.
done that all year. He hasn't played inverted wing backs up until the 10 position.
He's done.
He's not done that. That's what the
80%
media.
of the time.
He hasn't.
80% of the time he's done it. Yeah, in a couple of games he hasn't. And do you know what games we've actually looked best in? The games we haven't done it, but it wasn't because he didn't tell them to. It was because the teams like City and that pushed it on us so hard at the time they couldn't even invert. And we've looked best when we've played counter-attacking direct football. That is when we've played our best games. So shouldn't our manager be realising that and thinking, right, this team don't work with how I want to play, so I've got to adjust a couple of things. Or okay, I've got injuries, so I definitely can't use it my way. I've now got to adapt to the players I've got and play with the cards I've got. Nope. Ange goes and plays the same way again as he plays every game. Why is it that every pundit, every ex-player, every ex-manager, and literally every player or manager after the game says, well, it's Spurs. We know how to play against them. Surely my man's got to have a football brain of 26 years where he can realise that this ain't working and he has to adapt a couple of points.
And he has. Whether they've been good enough to adaptations is a different conversation. But
tell me what ones.
As I said, Jay, he's not played inverted wing backs essentially as much as he has. Last year we played Son up front. This year we're playing Solanke, so we've gone longer, much better.
Well, you'd expect that if we buy a 65 million striker, you'd expect that. If he didn't do that, it'd be a bit stupid.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is the problem, is that if we keep saying that he doesn't do stuff and then we say he does do stuff, but actually he should do it, he's therefore still doing stuff. So if he changes tactics, if we're saying he doesn't change tactics and then he does, you have to then give him the credit to say, okay, well, he does change tactics.
I'm the first one to give a man credit where credit is due, yeah? But I'd say 80% of the games we've still used inverted wing backs. Why does it show that? I can prove that in, like, if we go and watch nearly every game, because we're still conceding, bar one type, exactly the same goals that we did last season. Yeah. Down the flank straight away. Why? Because they're open. Why? Because both wing backs are inverted. But the main one they focus on now is Porro, because he's the weakest one at it. The only one we've actually got better at conceding goals at is going over the top. And that's because I give the man this credit. He's been smart enough that when Van der Ven ain't playing, that he drops us back just a little bit. Because the other problem is when Van der Ven ain't there to cover him, his style will never work. And without Van der Ven, you will never, ever, ever get another defender that can do what Van der Ven can do, because he's a freak. And that's a compliment. By the way my man runs, he should be part of the X-Men or Avengers, yeah? So without him, we're absolutely screwed anyway, yeah? So there's been many a time in a game. I mean, how can we be 2-0 up against, Brighton, totally dominating a game, and then we start seeing a change in the game, and he changes nothing until we're 3-2 down? How can we go to games where he doesn't make a sub until we're 3-0? The bit he's got better on, I think, is actually making the subs a bit earlier. That's where I do think he has improved.
But I think most of the subs that he's made recently, I've literally called them before the game. I'm like, well, they're going to come off in the 60th minute because of fitness, because of changing games and things like that. And I agree with you on the substitutions, but I guarantee you now, you go into any single game and look at any single manager, there will always be fans that don't agree with substitutions. I bet people do it with Guardiola. I remember doing it with Pochettino. I remember Pochettino used to sub on youth players on the 91st minute when we were 5-0 up at home. And why have you not brought that 16-year-old on 20 minutes ago? So I agree with you 100%. Some of the subs could be better, but then you can bring it back to, again, against Fulham, forget about tactics. You don't need tactics to pass the ball 5 yards and Basuma, Bentancur, or Doggy can't do that. So you can make as many changes as you like. Okay. Basuma's been brought off 3 times at half time in the last 5 games because you can't pass a ball.
Since we've played Basuma,
why does it? Wait, hold on, Dan. Why does Ange keep picking Basuma if he knows he's incapable? Because for me, in that midfield 3, Basuma is a player that likes to do short passes. He no longer carries the ball up the pitch anymore. So if you've got Basuma that's unable to affect the game in an offensive position, and then you've also got Johnson on the right-hand side, that when he's in possession, he likes to pass backwards. He doesn't like to run in behind. He doesn't like to stretch the play. So effectively, you've got 2 cones there. He knew this. He knew, and he still picked them. Why? Because he wants everyone to get minutes. Now, for me, if you're trying to win games, what sense does it make in playing Basuma if you know you're limited in that area? What sense does it make of playing Johnson if you're limited on that right hand side? You said it yourself. Look, it's the players. It's Basuma. Basuma can't pass 5 yards. Do you know what I'm saying? Johnson has no bravery on the ball. He hides in games. Basuma hides in games. And it's not like the first time. It would be different if Ange did this. And as soon as the sheets came out, starting lineups came out, I think most fans knew that midfield weren't it. Most fans knew that, Johnson again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I honestly, I can't really excuse Ange on that one. Do you understand? There's one thing saying he doesn't adapt, he does adapt, etc., etc. But I think he got the tactics wrong from the jump, and I think in the second half, the reason why he made that substitution so quickly was him admitting that, actually, that we didn't look right, and the reason we don't look right is because we've got 3 players that don't have attributes where they can get their head up, be brave, and pass through the lines, because none of them can pass like that. I don't care if it's Basuma, Bentancur, possibly Archie Gray, but again, he's in a midfield 3 that he's never played with, and you're asking the younger to take the game from the scruff of the neck and dictate from deep.
And that's the
I
problem.
don't know, and Archie Gray, how many games? And I'll bring Marlon on, bruv, because I know this is your topic. You know what I'm saying? How many games has Archie Gray played?
And Brennan Johnson, that's who he wants to talk about today. Brennan Johnson.
Archie Gray hasn't played in the Premier League in centre mid, has he?
Well, how many games has he played in the Championship?
Game.
How many games has he played in the Championship as a
number
6?
No, he played less than half of them.
No, it's mostly.
Don't give him that credit, Dan. Come on.
I think it was about 24 or 25 he played as right back, wasn't it?
Yeah, he played most of them right back.
But he did play in the bit centre mid.
He played centre mid, yeah. As a DM, he played less games as a DM than he has a centre mid, attacking mid, and a right back.
Yeah, he's
probably played right back and centre back more than he's played in midfield.
Oh yeah, he has, blatantly has. And I was told that if he plays at centre back, it's going to improve him as a DM. I'm sorry. He's got no defensive awareness about him. Why the hell are you trying him in a DM? And for me, he is a perfect number 8, Archie Gray. I've said it. He's so good on the ball, and he can move the ball quite quickly. He needs to be a number 8. Forget the DM. We need to go and get a DM in the summer. Someone who's going to be better. Because Archie Gray's lightweight. I don't see him going in defence was a big, massive problem on Sunday. A massive issue. And I know people are going to sit there and go, he had to take Romero off. But when you're going to go and put Archie Gray there, he caused so many issues because everything that Ben Davies had done up until that point was spot on and perfect, apart from his clearance where I thought Vicario should have called him. He didn't clear it properly and he went to whoever. But apart from that, I thought the defence was flawless on Sunday up until that moment.
Do you think Ange's profiling players is wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? Because for me, you're playing certain players out of position and you're having midfield combinations that don't suit the opposition that you're playing against, meaning that he's not looking at the opposition and picking a balanced midfield where you've got someone that can carry the ball, someone that can move the ball quickly through passing, someone that's got tempo on and off the ball, someone that's positionally they know where to be, someone that, I know like attacking patterns of play, you have to have chemistry. The midfield 3, they have to have chemistry. So with Archie Gray, in fairness to him, he needs a few games playing with those players before he gets up to speed to a different level. But
it was the whole Benson for me. Like
that's what I'm saying.
It could have worked. It could have all worked, but he goes from like the last 2 league games where he was in a 10, and you're going, huh? It's not like Bergvall and Maddison. Look, I know people sit there and go, Maddison's minutes are being managed. Bergvall could play them. You just swap the 2. If you really need to push come to shove, you need an attacking player on there.
It would have been more legit, wouldn't it, to put Bergvall on there? Not that I think he's a very creative player or whatever,
but he's going to progress.
There's something there.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's played a lot of it as well, Bergvall. I think the reason why Bergvall didn't play was because he didn't want to play Bergvall and Gray in a midfield together. I can't imagine there'd be many Premier League teams
Okay,
start
okay.
an 18-year-old.
So
That's
why
the
do
only.
you-
That's
no,
the
no,
only
no, no,
thing
no,
that
I
makes
can
sense.
think of.
Then you go and play Maddison because Maddison's not going to play for England.
No, he's the only one where when we said 7 changes, when you break it, sounds massive. When you break it down,
He was the one.
He was the
yeah,
only one where I was like, he could have probably played. But
I agreed. I have to sit there and go. I gave Ange credit up until I saw that midfield because I thought all the other changes made legitimate sense. And if we're being completely honest, the 7 changes weren't really the problem because as soon as he made the changes and brought the other players into it, is when the problems all started to lie because Maddison was on the pitch, Son was on the pitch, all of them were on the pitch when we started conceding. So you're looking at it going, here we go. The biggest problem is because you took off Romero, game done. And how I look at it now is if Romero or Van der Ven is not in this team, either as 1 or as a 2, this team is nothing. This team is absolutely nothing.
That's what I was saying.
Is
the system dependent on
No, Dan, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. You say Van der Ven, but I watched Romero on Sunday, literally.
Okay.
That defense, that back 4 on Sunday was brilliant. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to sit there and say they were absolutely brilliant. Everything that came at them, they defended. It was just what was in front of them and up top that really let them down. Because every cross that came in, they defended. Everything that came into that box, they defended well. And it wasn't until Archie Gray went back there where it all collapsed.
I think
out of majority of games, put the majority of games together, and the way Ange plays, who would we miss more, Van der Ven or Romero?
Van der Ven. I think Romero.
Romero can't one back from the halfway line at 100 miles an hour. Without a player that does that, without a defender that does that, Marlon, we fall to pieces.
But if you look at what's happened this season, and everyone always talks about this high line, we actually don't have the highest line in the Premier League. It's actually where I do agree with you, Dan, is the inverted wing back part. I think that's the bit that really lets.
That's our biggest problem. That is our biggest problem,
and it's not nothing to do with Romero and Van der Ven. How far Romero? Because what happens is when they invert and you leave the 2, that's why Van der Ven then has to take them extra strides. But actually, if you go and put a midfielder in there and it's actually a 3, Romero is actually so good that I think a lot of people kind of dismiss him because he is the one that makes the mistakes. But he's making mistakes on what Ange is playing.
But I don't think he's world class like everybody says.
No, I'm not saying he's world class.
No, I didn't say you did. I just said a lot of people say he's a world class defender. No,
I think he could be.
I think he's very good.
I think
he has his world class moments.
Yeah.
But he is not a consistent enough player for me to call world class.
He doesn't play enough.
You can blatantly see he doesn't even want to be here either, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
his eyes have been turned. His eyes have been turned.
But can we talk about Solanke? Because Solanke had because he had a couple chances. Like there was one where I think Tell on the right uses his left foot, bends it in, keeper saves it. I think it comes to Maddison.
That assist.
Chest it down.
Oh,
Maddison chest it on the
Can we just
on
appreciate
the
that assist? Yeah, can we appreciate that assist?
I Madders, I said, listen, that quick reaction and then the cushion for him. I said, yeah, all right, cool. Then Solanke.
Madders has got it, man.
He's our joint top scorer and joint top assist. And people saying Maddison don't do it for Spurs. If anything, he's the one not getting picked enough or taken off more, and he's our joint top scorer and most assists.
He's always sacrificed.
He's always sacrificed. You know what though? I do get why he's sacrificed.
I do get it.
But when we were in that dire situation and he's on
certain
the bench,
times you need to keep him on though.
Just keep him on.
At certain times you need to start him, and that's down to the gaffer, in my opinion.
There's something personal between them two. There's something personal between it. It's either he's confronted Ange or Ange just walked into the bedroom and Maddison shouldn't have been there with his wife. One or the other. There is something there between them.
It was on FaceTime in Australia.
You know what I mean? On something there is something personal between them.
No, two. I think Maddison's told him because was it the Alkmaar away game? Son and Maddison were dropped for that Bournemouth game. I don't care what anyone says. It was clearly what they said. This is not working. And it just undermined everything that Ange done. And they were dropped the next game, and then they had to both come on to rescue it in some sort of sense.
I think that's the way you got to manage Maddison, to be honest. That seems to be the only way to get a tune out of him is you drop him and then he comes back after a few more games.
You need Roy Keane to give him kick
I
up
think
the backside.
I think what also people forget is that Maddison's had this labelled at him his whole career. This isn't something new. Maddison's had the whole. If you speak to any club fan of any of the clubs he's played at, he goes where he plays 4 unbelievable games, then he drops off for a few more, then he comes back.
Leicester did say it. Supporters did say it.
Yeah, and so again, we're not talking about new stuff that, oh my God, like Harry Zandy's not getting the tune out of him. Why is he inconsistent under Ange? He's been inconsistent. He's 28. He's been inconsistent for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem, is that when he's good, he is unbelievable. But similar to so many of our players, they either 8s or 9s or they're 4 and 5s. We don't have enough 6s and 7s every week that come from this team. That's the big problem. So then when we're off, we look horrendous.
Then why does
going back to Solanke though? Going back to Solanke, I know we're talking about Maddison, but I just
we don't want to talk about Solanke, man.
we know about Maddison. We know about Maddison, innit? You know what I'm saying? But Solanke, for me, inside a box, he needs to be a lot more clinical from the chances he gets, because sometimes he won't get a lot. A lot of people will say he needs more service, creativity, it's not there for him. But he needs to be more than just hardworking, because that's the bare minimum. Every player should be hardworking. You can't be saying
it was a bad miss.
A
real bad miss.
I think it's a bit of everything. I think there's a bit of everything with him. I don't think he's fully fit at the moment. I think you go from 1 minute not playing to then playing 90 minutes. So the other day when Maddison flicked the ball over the top, he looked like he was running in treacle in the 90th minute. I can't remember who it was against, but I think there's a bit of everything. He's not finishing the chances. I don't think we create chances specifically for him, but I don't think Ange's system is set up for, like when Haaland's got so many goals, City are all geared to get him goals. Ange's system's not that. Ange's system is for the forwards to get goals, so the wingers and the striker. Yeah. So if everyone gets 15 each, then that's a lot more than your striker just getting 20 on his own, 25 on his own, and the wingers don't score. That's the whole idea.
So the system's not geared for Solanke, basically.
No, I think it's geared for Solanke, but it's not solely. He's not the only person that's going to score. I think if I read the stats right.
But why? Sorry, just to stop you on that one. But why then do you play the wide forward so wide if you want the wide forwards to be scoring goals? Because I think the way we play our wingers, they touch they hug the touchline. Do you know what I'm saying?
At the start of the move they do, but not at the end. And this is again a way I think people get misconstrued. Everyone keeps telling me
when it goes inside the box.
Wingers, not when it goes inside the box.
Yeah, when it goes inside the box, they come alive. They're on the end of things to tap things. But in terms of like creativity, they're the ones that you kind of look towards them, because, like, for example, like I just said, Fulham, we weren't relying on the creativity in the middle. We were relying on the creativity on the wide players. So what? Creativity from the wide and goals as well, or like? And I feel like sometimes
it works in as a pair, doesn't it? The wingers work as pairs. So when one winger's got the ball, the other one should be at the back post.
How many of them are crosses? But how many of them are whipping crosses into the box? Not the ones where they have to turn back and then they're looping it over.
How many of them can cross the ball, Marlon? How many of them can cross the ball?
But when you look at Bournemouth last year and some of the goals Solanke was scoring or getting in the end of, because they were whipping balls into the box on the back stick, and that's where Solanke was getting most of his joy.
Yeah,
Brennan Johnson, even Son, and the rest of them. The only person who can cross in this whole team is Porro. Not even, and that is it. And even against Newcastle was probably the one time where I went on point.
So this is what I'm talking about, profiling. Is he really profiling players? Because I think a good manager, for me personally, will look at a player and look at his weaknesses and hide his deficiencies.
But my question to you is on that, because my question is to you is, Solanke can do what he wants, but is he just not using Solanke to his full potential?
I don't think he is.
Okay. Can I add to that a second? Yeah,
he's gone.
And right, Solanke was bought by Ange. Ange said, "That is my man. I want him."
Yeah,
like you said, Luke. Yeah, Yeah, you're saying he doesn't really work in Ange's system.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we're not. The system's not set up for one striker to score 30, 35 goals. That's not the idea.
So if my man's checked up his striker that has had one good season in his entire career, one good season, and thinks, right, this is the man I want. Why? Because he can do A, B, C, D. like a good manager would. Obviously, it comes down to a scout, yeah. But any decent manager out there will still watch a few videos and watch a few games himself. I would think, yeah. Maybe I'm just a bit OTT on that one, yeah. But seriously, and are you telling me he seriously sat there and thought, right, I want Solanke so he can do A, B, C, D. That's why I like that man. And then he tells his team to go and do E, F, G.
Well,
No, no, no.
hold on, look. The way I think what's happened here is so Solanke can do A, B, C, D, and he's gone, but I only want Solanke to do A and B. C and D is just a bonus, and even though Solanke is good at C and D, I'm not gonna get my wingers or my forwards to actually highlight how good he is at C and D unless it's desperation. Because
But that's his strongest points. What he's missing him out on.
But you just take the goal he scored against Chelsea. It was like the one time we swung it in the box for him and he's in there. We've barely played that way for Solanke all season. The way we want Solanke is, and this is why we've praised him so much, is because the bits that Ange probably wants him for is the shutting down, is the link up play. Like Luke, I do agree with Luke on the sense of he doesn't want him to score 30 goals. He only wants him to score 12, 13, but contribute to another 15, 16 when it's at the beginning of the move. But the issue then becomes is it the wingers become an issue because you're playing players like Brennan Johnson and Son, who doesn't really fit on the left wing in an Ange system, even though when you look at some of Son's stats, even they're just, they're the same as Maddison and Brennan Johnson. But it's just that we expect more from him.
Solanke doesn't even hold on to the ball well. Majority of the time, he gets knocked off the ball. Yeah, I've seen him the odd time hold on to the ball. But if you want someone who can hold on to the ball, Kulusevski's better than him here, and he's been terrible over the past.
But do you think Ange wants him to hold on to the ball, though? Like,
this is the question. I honestly don't know what Ange wants off him. And I don't think he knows what Ange wants off him. I mean, if my man is best in that box with the ball floating in there and everything, like he blatantly was at Bournemouth, and like I would think a manager with any sort of football IQ would notice that when he's picking his player, says, right, that is what he is best at. Okay, he's capable of this, this, and this, but he is best at that. So this is what I mean with the problem with our manager. He doesn't play any of our players to their prime, to what they are best at. He plays to what he wants them to play or what he thinks they're capable of.
There was one player he's playing he's getting the best out of and the best of their potential. Brennan Johnson. Because there's no way that man is doing well in any other team. He's shown
it. Seriously, how that man even gets into our... Okay, he scored 9 tap-ins. Fair play, he scored goals.
But this is what...
Apart from that, he's awful.
But Ange is getting the best out of him. I will always admit this. Ange is getting the best out of Brennan Johnson because of the system he plays.
What about Luke? This is a question to you. What about Bergvall? Is Ange getting the best out of him?
I think it's hard at the moment to work out what player Bergvall is. I can't. We talk about 8s, 6s, 10s.
I think he's an 8. I think he's an 8. I don't think he's a 10. I think he's an 8.
No, I think he's more of an 8. The two best.
Did he not play 6 against? Who did he play 6
against? He did play the deeper role, but
it was Outmore, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. He was.
Yeah, but he didn't play in a DM style or nothing like that.
No, it's just
more of a box to box. He's a hybrid 6'8".
The scariest thing, I think, the two best performances. I agree with you about Archie Gray on Sunday. I think Archie Gray is a bit lightweight in there, and he gave the ball away a couple of times. But in terms of positional sense, in terms of where you're supposed to be, the way he played that position is completely different to any of the other midfielders this year. He sat there more. He was available more. He was an option more. He was defensively better, and the best 2 performances defensively this year have been from Archie Gray and Bergvall. That's outstanding for me, considering we've got 2 experienced people in Bentancur who's won titles and Basima who's played in the Premier League for like 5 or 6 years, and we're relying on 18-year-olds to be the ones to go to. It's just crazy.
You're asking 2 players to play out of sync. Since when has Bentancur ever been an attacking player, out and out attacker? Since when has Basuma ever been more of a defensive player? He was the most wanted player in the Premier League out of the top 4, while Liverpool offered 60, 70 million for him. Why? Because he's a box-to-box. 2 different types of box-to-box. You've got the box-to-box that sits low, gets the ball, comes up a bit higher and passes. Or you've got the box-to-box that just sits behind the halfway line, gets it, charge forward to the 10, to the left, to the right, or even over, yeah? We play him as more of a defender. People say he's all over the pitch. Yeah, because we're telling him to do box-to-box up there. Then also cover the left because we got no left because he's inverted. Over to the right because we got no one because Poro's there. Or he's having to come back and cover the middle. You're telling this man to play totally the wrong style of football to what he's good at.
Yeah,
Now,
but
some players can adapt to different styles, yeah? Other players can't. Bentancur, when he played at Juventus, where did he play?
He was more of an 8.
DM.
That's where he played.
No, he wasn't. No, he
DM.
wasn't. He played. No, he did not. He played as a DM for 3 years and a deep line playmaker. He never played as an 8. Never did at Juventus. And when he played alongside Ramsey, he'd sit deeper. Ramsey go forward a bit more. He always played as a DM at Juventus. I watched him enough times. Again, another player we're playing the wrong way. No, I wouldn't say we don't even play with a DM, but we don't even use him as a deep line playmaker. We want all our midfielders to be a 10, 8, 6, 10, 8, 6. I don't know what Angie's asking for. Does he want robots? But he don't even play with a DM. When you're doing something crazy like using 2 inverted wing backs, you'd think any manager, again, that's got half an IQ about football would say you need a DM now. 100%.
With the Basuma issue, though, I don't think that's fully on Ange. And the reason why I'm not going to give Ange full blame,
I think he's half lost it.
Yeah. You just said there he's asking him to do this, that, and the other. When Conte came out and said the reason why he's not playing Basuma is because he can't take on instructions. So Graham Potter must have surely had him playing in a certain way where he just went, do this, nothing else.
So then, what are you saying?
That's how he did.
Is what are you saying? Potter's a better manager than Ange then, because he's got more. He's got more out of
only when it comes to Basuma, because if he tactically is inept and he's unable to do certain things when he's tactically given them, because it's not to say Potter's better. It's just to say that at the time Potter had players that could suit Basuma, and the others could take the instruction on better than him.
I think
25 million for Basuma and not one of the other top clubs took a bite on it. You kind of then have to ask yourself that situation.
Liverpool did offer 60 million for him.
Yeah, but they offered it, but he didn't go.
No, because they wanted 80 million.
But he ended up going to us for 25. So if Liverpool thought he was the real deal,
Liverpool went and got someone else instead.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll ask you this with Basuma then, yeah? I'll agree with what you're saying. I don't think he's a very inept player, yeah? I think he can only play his way. He's just one of them players. Some players they can adapt. I don't think he can. But where would you say of 90% of Basuma's, and he's made some clangers, yeah? But where have 90% of his stupid, idiotic things been?
So it's been when he's played the number 6 role.
It's been when it is, well, not even the number 6 role, we don't do it, but it's been in a defensive situation. It's been in a defensive situation.
It has been.
Well, I'm sure that if me and you can see it, and these two can see it, and I'd say most of the people on the chat can see it, how can the manager not work this out, that this man is not defensively inept?
Yeah, but Dan, who does he really play there? Because Bentancur, I'm going to sit there and say, you might say Bentancur's a number 6, but he gets caught out too many times on ball watching and
his concentration. He always did.
So you're kind of stuck now because he's stuck with these 2 midfielders. He's got Archie Gray, and you're kind of going, well, where do I turn to next? Bergvall, thankfully, has turned into this number 8 or CM, as I would call it, and done an okay job because he's had to play there. Now he's the first one on the team sheet if he's not being rested.
That is why I would have said I don't want Archie Gray, even though I think Ange even said he was bought as a midfielder, even though he's never played there. Sorry, he played there once. And that is why I would have fought for the 40 million to be spent on myself. But then again, we say about a DM, Ange don't play with a DM. It's one of his biggest problems. 2 things that could fix Ange's system to an extent.
You say he looked better with Højbjerg in the team. You reckon Højbjerg?
We shouldn't have got rid of Højbjerg.
But you know what's funny?
Last 20 minutes. Remember we used to say the last 20 minutes of games last year, how good Højbjerg, you should just shut up the shot and just sit in front of the back too.
But it's experience.
Anchorman. That's what he is.
Yeah.
No, we don't have a DM now, and our anchorman is what we need, because this manager only plays with 2 defenders. Don't tell me he plays with a left back and a right back. They're 2 inverted wing backs who end up going up to a 10 position, clogging up Maddison where he can't bloody move, where he's got 2 CM behind him, other one's inverting. Maddison's got no option to pass the bloody ball half the time like a playmaker needs. And we're left with 2 defenders at the back where we get absolutely cooked down the left wing or the right wing because there's no one there to cover it. And Basuma's running left and right like a headless chicken trying to get to it. And nothing comes of it. If we at least had a DM now, that could half cover us. If he didn't play inverted wing backs, we would be nowhere near as bad as we are. These are on Ange's tactics.
I think in terms of tactics, I think you're right. When Madison's on the ball, I'm looking for attacking patterns of play, meaning I'm looking at more than one way to break down low blocks. What does that mean in real time? That means if someone's on the ball, I want to see players either coming short or going long. And I think when Basuma's on the ball, he's a confidence player. He's playing with no confidence, and that's why he goes hiding. And then number two, he likes to play short passes, meaning that he likes to play in close proximity, meaning he wants his player quite close to him to do those little bounce
Charge to the ball,
passes.
small pass in front or
Exactly.
the other side.
So the problem is
And he's
sometimes
bloody
with
good at it.
Spurs, I see on the pitch is we play really narrow. We play really close together, and I get why we do that because we're trying to play little 1-2 little triangles to beat a press or to outnumber a team on one side of the pitch. But sometimes what you need to do and have different profiles where you open up the pitch, you make your players step away from each other, make it harder to mark each other. When you spread out, that's what opens up gaps. And once the gaps are open, then you can start passing in behind. You can start doing those pulls. Because remember, the ball always moves faster than the player. And we had too many profile players, in my opinion, that like to carry the ball. Basuma being one. That was his one strength. When he was on the ball, he liked to carry it. He was a good dribbler. And once you take out his ball carrying and you take out his dribbling, and now his password's been off because his confidence has gone down, there's no need for a Basuma. He's got no place in the squad. I think that's one of the biggest problems at the moment. And you've got too many players that have similar profiles, and because we're playing too narrow, that's been the big issue. Now, everyone's saying if we get a DM, if Ange gets a DM, all of the problems are sorted. I'm not sure because I don't know tactically when we go to press teams, instead of the midfielders jumping, we use the fullbacks to jump. When the fullbacks jump, that's when the space in behind is there to be exploited because, as Dan said already, we don't play with a rest defense of 3 or 4 players. We play a rest defense of 2, sometimes 3, but more time it's 2. And that's why when teams want to do a transition on us or counterattack us, especially the small to medium-sized teams, they're able to do it because they have more bodies in that attack than what we have. And so we've committed too many bodies forward. Our press is sometimes sloppy and there's holes in our press. When there's holes in the press, that's when the team is exposed and we don't do enough work at defending the half spaces because that's where teams can punish you. And it's not only that, it's when we switch off. There's certain times when you're taking a throw on, or the opposite team's taking a throw on, or they're taking a free kick, etc. The team defensively aren't set, and there's no organization from the players individually. When you play football, Luke, you kick ball. Man says, "Raw, talk. I can't hear you. Talk. I need man talking. Talk." And I'm not saying when we're on the ball. I'm saying when you're off the ball, because that's when you have to be. I don't think we have enough players that are defensively sound or aware when we have the ball. How do we defend when we have the ball? Our players thinking, what's the worst case scenario that could happen if we lose the ball? And I'm not sure if that side of the game is being coached or if Ange is prioritizing
Exactly.
defense at all.
Does he even coach the defense? Does he even look at the defense? I don't even think he touches the defense. I don't think he even coaches them.
But yeah, sorry, Luke, go on. Sorry,
the midfield don't.
I went on a fucking run there. But yeah,
there's not a single player in that midfield that covers the defensive lines. That's the problem. So when you say about us pressing, when we press, that's when we look bad. And that's another reason we're talking about Solanke. What Solanke's been brought in to do is to lead the press. So the reason why we actually don't get the ball over the top as much as we did last year in terms of having to turn around and sprint back, the reason why the press the line's not as high is because Solanke's able to push up and therefore there's not the options to clip it over the top. When we actually do the press, the left winger goes to say a right back, the striker goes to the right centre forward, the right winger then comes across to the centre back, and then the wing back is supposed to then cover that space. and then the whole team's supposed to shuffle across. But the problem is we don't have a defensive player in the midfield to be able to recognise any sort of danger. How many times have we really seen, other than when they're just running all over the place, from a transition from the opposition have got the ball, they've got it defensively, and they get up to the attack, where one of our midfielders has gone, I just need to go wide. I need to go wide here. I need to be able to stop that channel, go to that. We don't have that. So when you bring in someone, it doesn't have to be a 6. I think we should get a 6, but if we get in a midfielder who is defensively able and defensively aware, the whole game would change. All the tactics.
Is 1-6 enough? Because that 6 has to cover the left half space or the left side where that fullback has gone up. Because that's what happens when the fullback goes. Go on, sorry. Go on.
Most of the time, like again, the Porro goal when the goal we conceded for Bournemouth when Porro was out of position.
Yeah,
there was absolute. It was all Porro. It was all Porro. Porro had the ball and gave the ball away in easy possession.
Correct.
Which is what happens in most of our breakdowns.
Correct.
Play. It's a basic ball, exactly like Basuma,
sloppy pass or pass that's easy to read. Yeah,
you should never give the ball away there. So if he doesn't give the ball away, they don't counter. So it's irrelevant. It's an irrelevant. It doesn't matter where he goes because we don't give the ball away. And then Spence is the one that actually made the mistake because he let his man run. But you didn't hear anything about Spence. It was all about Porro because Porro's the target at the moment. So, and this is what I mean about the fan base. There's a certain character. Certain player.
All right then. So okay, let's stick with that then. Let's stick with that. Spence was at fault for Fulham, right?
No, not Fulham. It was Bournemouth.
Porro was at fault for Bournemouth, isn't it?
No.
Porro was at fault.
Porro right back.
It wasn't. It's Porro had gone up and gave the ball away. Kirk had then whipped the ball in, and Spence was with his man and let him run.
So with Spence, all right, cool.
And then the second
my
goal,
bad. Sorry, Spence.
The second goal was offside.
So was
Spence his man again.
It was Spence twice, right?
Well, Porro was at fault as well, but Spence was the one that lost his man.
All right. Yeah. But I'm saying to you, boom, that's a fullback situation where, you know what I'm saying? There needs to be more coaching on that side to say when that fullback is pushing up, where do you need to be on the pitch? Someone needs to cover and defend under. Spence
was in a good position. Spence was in a good position. He was next to his man. He just let his man run. So it wasn't a tactics thing. It was a concentration thing. Spence just let his man run.
I think look, against Fulham, because I'm going to fast forward to Fulham. Fulham, Odegaard had no outball. When he dribbled into that kind of 3 players pressed them because they said Odegaard had no player in front of him, no one to poke the ball up to the top to kind of push it down the line. But then equally, Spence was behind him. I'm saying if Spence is behind him and you're saying Spence is in the right position, I think Spence should come and offer a passing lane for him as well. Yeah. So then he's got an option there. So he's not able to lose the ball. But where he had no option and no one was talking on the pitch, that's where that mistake happens. He loses the ball. And yes, Spence is in the right position. But again, I still think Spencer's at fault there. Do you know what I'm saying? And someone needs to be telling him, because he's still a young man. I know he's not that young, but he's still a young man where he needs to be coached somewhat, where to be on the pitch. And again, it's down that side. It's down the fullback position. Do you know what I mean?
That's why we need experience. That's why you need to sign experienced players. That's why the saying goes, you can't win anything with kids. You need to have experience in there. We don't have it.
And that's why you also have a player that's not like Johnson, like when Porro lost the ball. What I would expect my wing back to do, whether he can defend or not, is at least charge down the wing and try and put off what's going on. Johnson just stands there like a little boy waiting for his ice cream. He's crap. Apart from tapping in the ball, he's useless, yeah? We need a man there. That is why in certain games, even though Kulusevski ain't a right side player, he's an attacking midfield central or a shadow striker. That's where he was best at Juventus. And at least when he's on the right, he tries to come back and cover Porro. Johnson just stands there. Johnson, he's useless. The player, bar his tapping, he's useless. He gets a tap in and then disappears for 85 minutes. So we're talking about the problems on the team, yeah? If we can see it, why can't Ange see this? Why can't Ange say, right, my system for these players is not working. It does not work, period. Fact. No ifs or buts about it. It might work for 5 minutes, but if you want me, I'll come up with another load of facts for you on why 1,000,000% it don't work. So a good manager then adapts to the cards he's got, doesn't have to change his whole system, and says, right, that bit, it just don't work because I ain't got the players for it. So I'm going to tweak that, and tweak that, and wait until the next transfer window where I can get my man in there and I can play more. Nope, Mr. Postecoglou, I play one way, only one way, no other way, because I don't know no other way, or I can't do no other way. I mean, I'll have my little rant now, yeah? Like, most home games conceded first in a calendar year, 2024. We went 1-0 down in 15 home games during 2024. More than ever by a Premier League team in a single year. Worst home winless rate since 2008. We went 5 straight home matches without a win in the Premier League. Our longest ever since 2008. Shots faced in a calendar year, 25. Just 25 in the 11 games of 2025. We have had over 167 shots on goal, let alone the ones that have missed. Average of 15 per game. This is more than 40 shots higher than any other Premier League in all competitions during that period, including the relegation sides. On course for our highest number of losses, everybody knows that, yeah? Most goals conceded in a calendar year since 2008. Longest run of consecutive Premier defeats in 16 years. 16 years. Most goals conceded in all competitions in a season, 24-25. By February 25, even though we're now coming to like March, we had conceded 57 goals across 39 games in all competitions, averaging 1.5 goals a game. A figure worse only by Leicester and Southampton. I mean, seriously, what do you want to say good about this man and tell me that he could not adapt to anything to change any of that crap? Mate, I've got another 100 stats here if you want them, which I'm sure you
go
don't.
into your more stats, but
I ain't going to go into more stats.
I want to know.
Shouldn't the manager be adapting, Ash? This is what I'm asking. Shouldn't the manager be seeing these points and adapting when we have lost over 50% of our games with this man? Over 50%.
I hear it. But look, there's another topic we got at hand, and the topic is really, I'm going to start it with Pochettino, because I know Marlon wants to know what managers should come in, because you're basically saying this manager's no good. I think Luke wants him, if he wins Europa, he wants him to stay on.
If he wins Europa and we sack him, then it's unbelievable, because it don't matter what he's done or what he hasn't done. All we talk about is how we sacked Mourinho before a final and how we sacked Pochettino after getting to the Champions League final. And then the one manager that does win us a trophy, we sack him. It doesn't.
You know what? I'll give you a quick thing on that. And I'll have a lot of people on other channels bite me for this one. Yeah, you know what? My man go win me Europa Cup. You know what? Go on, man. You can have another 6 months. But he'll probably get the sack before then anyway.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that from Dan. I have to.
I'll go put my hand up. He goes and wins me Europa Cup, and we finish 15th and whatever. I say, do you know what? I'll throw it aside and I'll say you can stay for another 6 months.
It's a Man United Ten Hag situation. Like Man United didn't want Ten Hag to stay on because he won the trophy and that was it. They had no choice.
Then you could say technically we had a better season than Arsenal if they don't win the Champions League because we won something.
I'm Fletcher, man. He's delusional.
If Han wins the Europa League, he goes down as arguably. I'm not saying he is at all before anyone.
No, I know what you mean.
He goes down as one of the best managers we've had in a very, very long time.
Well, look what happened with Ramos. Ramos won us. Was the last one win us a cup, and he was terrible. Yeah. You know, it's a terrible thing to say, but you know what? You've got to give credit where credit is due at the end of the day. If you're going to slate someone, you've also got to give them credit where it's due. And I don't really have no credit for Ange. But if he goes and wins that Europa, whether people say it's only because of the players that got into it, well, then you blame the players for the way we play. It works for me. I'm a fair person, believe it or not. It works both ways. If he goes and wins that Europa, do you know what, man? Go on, have another 6 months of. I'll put up with this crap for another 6 months to win the Europa Cup. But that's me. Sorry, I just had to.
Yeah, Pochettino was on, weren't we?
I just want to know, if who had about Poch. I want to know who walked into a better squad or better lineup Pochettino or Ange?
Pochettino had Son and Kane. I know he developed them, but he had Son and Kane.
No, but technically he didn't. He had Adebayor. He walked in the line. Didn't he walk on with
Kane
Adebayor?
was there, wasn't he? Kane was involved in that team.
Yeah, but he still wasn't. He had no idea he was going to be.
I didn't fancy Kane at all. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, no,
if anyone says they did, then they are the players that he.
Just to read it. The lineup against West Ham was Hugo Lloris in goal, Carl Norton right back, Eunice Cabal. Yeah, naughty. Yeah, then we had centre back Cabal at centre back, Eric Dyer, and Danny Rose. Yeah. Then we had Capoue, Bentaleb, Ericsson, Aaron Lennon, Lamella, and Adebayor.
So I would say, just to go on that, Ange had a better defensive options, but Pochettino had better attacking options.
Don't forget we lost Kane. So we had...
And he lost Kane, yeah. He lost Kane the day before.
He never lost Kane. He never lost... I'm sorry. No, I was looking at Angela. No, I misheard that.
I told you.
My bad. My bad. I'll wait until after the show for that. I'll wait until after the show for that one.
The 6 months is not real. He was lying.
He'll get the sack before then anyway. So it's just it's just me being nice. Sorry.
So what are we saying? Are we saying that Poch had a better team? He walked into a better team than Ange did. Is that what we're saying, or is it a mix?
Mix. It's a mix. You have to look at that. It's a mix.
So Ange had a better defense, but conceded more, right, in that first season.
Yeah,
but he had probably had a worse attack and probably scored more. Yeah, tell us that,
this is what I'm trying to say.
And this is why we should not be on the panel talking about football, because we don't know.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I understand if you don't agree with the way that he plays football, if you don't agree with his tactics, and you don't agree, then that's absolutely fine. But again, I always try and bring some sort of balance. So I hear a lot of people say that he's absolutely useless and everything he does is useless. Well, we've just named that Brennan Johnson's not good enough. We just said Son's not good enough, and Solanke's not scoring goals, and we're still the second top goal scorer. So something he's doing is obviously positive because we're scoring so many goals. Whether that outweighs the negatives, that's a different conversation.
To score 15, what are we, plus 12 goals now? Is it plus 12?
Would you agree with this?
We're still in 15th.
Poch came into the easier league, right?
That's what Miss Bunny's saying.
But I'm asking, will Poch do better with this team or not? I want to know. That's what I want to know, really. Because now it's a harder league, apparently. It's a harder league. So if Poch came in tomorrow, is he doing better with these group of players, or is he doing pretty much the same?
So the question is, I'm going to ask all you lot. Right, let's go through the starting lineup of the Spurs team, and say has Poch got the player in that position to turn this team around. So Vicario, is Vicario a Pochettino goalkeeper?
Yeah.
You have to say yes.
He could work with him.
Okay,
no problem.
Right, so right back, Porro or Spence? Who is Poch picking?
Porro did like him able to defend as well, so he's going Spence.
I don't.
Yeah. I think Spence and a doggy. I think it's Spence on the right, and I think a doggy on the left.
Do you think a doggy is good enough to play? If you look at the way Danny Rose was used, do you think the doggy's good enough to be the left back that Poch?
Yeah, on the outside, 100% on the outside.
Playing how he played in Italy, I watched him in Italy, and he destroyed it in Italy as an overlapping wing back.
And also I think he improves him defensively.
100%.
Defensively, I think he improves.
It's his defensive capabilities that worries me.
No, but under Ange,
he's always coming back from the middle.
But I watch him internationally as well, and he's still just as bad defensively.
Defending is not his strongest point. Well, this is not his strongest point.
And this is why I'm asking, because he's in an Italian team that's known for its defense.
No, I think Poch improves him, man. Personally,
I don't think Poch improves him defensively yet.
What we also
you see how Danny Rose was when he came to the club.
Yeah,
Danny Rose wasn't a top left back. He wasn't a top defender.
He wasn't. You're right. He wasn't, but he was always able to defend. He was. He just weren't great going forward. I never thought he was great going forward, but he was meant to be more of an attacking player. But defensively, I can't remember who he was on loan at. That's where they discovered
Sunderland.
that he could defend.
I think it was Sunderland, wasn't it? I think he went on loan there.
Yeah, someone, I can't remember who it was. Someone random he went on loan to, and that's what happened. And for me, someone was saying the other day that Udogie's best position, and I don't know who. I think he was on the stream, Dan. Someone had said that Udogie, when he was playing for Udinese, would always pop up in the box for Udinese as well, and he'd pop up mostly in that number 10 position for them.
He was a wing back. He used to overlap, go straight up the top, and then when he got up the top, if he didn't pass it, it'd cut across to the side. He didn't used to run it diagonally across, leaving everything open.
But he mostly was in the opposition's box. Is that correct? I'm not.
He was a wing back. He was a wing back, same as Porro basically. Porro is not a defensive player. That's why if you want a right back, wing back, you go Spence.
But this is the problem, and this is
Conte's tactics for these players would work a treat.
This is our issue. Like, we've got so many players that don't fit with a system, and again, it comes from the very top. So the next manager we appoint, don't work with any system, because we've got wing backs and full back positions, and we've got probably 3 very good centre backs who could play 3 at the back, but we've got a manager that plays 4.
I'll name you a team now. Our team, okay. We go Angie's style or we go my style. I bet you I name a team and most people on here say it'll play 10 times better than Angie's. We play 3 at the back. We go and put, I don't know.
Before wait. We've gone off target. We've gone off target. You were talking about... No, I'm just saying that you asked a question.
We were stuck on Udogie. I knew we'd get stuck on Udogie.
And then we went somewhere else. But
okay. Romero and Van de Ven.
Yeah, Romero goes. Yeah, Romero fits in. No problem.
Okay.
Bentancur.
He's changing that midfield up. He's bringing in a Wanyama type straight away. 100%. So
Yeah,
he couldn't have any of them.
He had Eric Dyer at the start. He didn't have Wanyama at the start. Remember?
Yeah, but Eric
Dyer wasn't a bad DM, you know.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. He played. Yeah.
Eric Dyer was not a bad DM. His career destroyed when they played him as a centre back. He was not a bad defensive midfielder. I'm not saying he was great, but he weren't bad.
He used to top it to the back.
But everyone forgot that
tactically.
Do you know that between Mourinho and Poch, everyone does realise that Dyer got seriously ill, and that was the reason why he never fully came back properly until Mourinho started playing him more week in, week out, because I think something had happened with his stomach, and that's why he'd gone missing for months.
I mean, look, when he was DM for England, he actually played well.
He messed up at that. If he'd stayed as a DM, who knows if Rice would have ever got in.
I don't think he'd have been special or nothing, but I think he was a good DM. He was a good DM, and nothing more, nothing less.
I think he could have developed there. I think he could have been really...
He would have been a better player, I agree.
Bayern fans are going absolutely mad at the moment because they're not offering him a new contract, and they've all said that every time he plays, he's their best defender.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard he's their best defender. But wait till they play Inter first, and they realise when they make that first mistake.
Look at the way Dyer played against Arsenal.
So we all agree he needs a whole new midfield. Yeah. So we all agree he needs a whole new midfield.
So I know. What were we saying about Bentancur then?
Poch will go and get a midfield, and I think I don't matter. It doesn't matter who's in midfield. Who's the manager next year? They need to go and get a new midfielder. There's not. We don't have it. Then you're not going to be able to change up this midfield and turn them into a top 5 team. You're not going to do it. They're not good enough. I don't know whether Bentancur has been massively affected by the ACL, then the 2 concussions, but he looks like a completely different player.
Since that injury, he's.
And I must say as well, the same for Johnson. Since Johnson done his hamstring, he wasn't great, but he used to be able to beat his man and cross the ball, and now he can't beat a man at all. So I think it's another injury that just seems to have impacted him massively.
I disagree. I just think he's crap. And that's saying it nicely.
Yeah, Luke, I'm not having that.
Hey, listen, I didn't say he was a player before. I'm just saying that I think he's. I don't know whether he's scared.
Hey, don't back down, man. No, we know what you're doing, man.
Don't try it. You'll dig a hole there, yeah? My man's shit. End of. He's terrible.
Yeah, every time we mention Johnson, I'm going to have to mute you.
I see your rant about Johnson the other day, so I had to bring it up.
What are the other positions then? All right.
So Maddison, we'll go with Maddison.
Yeah, he's an
I think he's a man. Yeah. All right, so the problem is with the right hand side at the moment, it's either Brennan Johnson, Odegaard, or Tell to a certain
Wait,
extent.
who's the third centre mid? Sorry, you said Madison,
No,
Benton,
you only need
Who else?
two.
Exactly. This is the problem. They're not good enough. We don't even know the third centre mid is. We don't know. They're not good enough. None of them.
Would he play Bergvall though?
I was going to say, would he play Bergvall?
Would he play Bergvall? I don't know. I don't know.
I think he would get rid of. I think Biss would go, and I think he'd bring in a top centre midfielder, and then I think your options of Sarr, Bergvall, Gray, the top centre midfielder, Madison. I think that would be enough.
Aren't you saying though that's what Ange needs, a top centre midfielder for his system to work?
So I
think
I
we
get
need
where
one
you're
anyway.
going with this. Basically, we're all asking Poch to come in, but he's going to have exactly the same problems that Ange has.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Dan, that's a question for you.
It's simple. He wouldn't play inverted wing backs. He wouldn't play two inverted wing backs.
You think tactically that's our biggest issue at the moment?
Look, I think if I didn't play inverted wing backs, I think that's 20%, 25% of our problem sorted. Seriously, I think it is that bad playing two inverted wing backs. Even if the man had the brain to just use one to go forward for the other to come back and make it.
I don't think he does two inverted anymore. I think
he don't anymore.
He does one.
Yeah, he does it plenty of times. I've seen him in plenty of games recently. Where they're still both up there and we got caught down the flanks either side.
No, but if you take the ball, let's take the Bournemouth goal, the first one where Porro loses out.
Mm-hmm.
Porro's the only one who inverts, and Spence is in the right position. It's just that he doesn't know what the hell's going on over his shoulder. And I like Spence.
Spence was more, I like Spence, but Spence was more over on the side than he was.
But he was there, but he wasn't. He wasn't as inverted as what we've mostly seen when we usually used to see you.
But we still play in a lot of games. Majority of games, we are still playing with two inverted wing backs.
I don't think they do it as much.
Yeah, I don't think they
do.
I
don't think as bad as it.
Majority of the time, I say we do because we get caught out on both sides every game. And
I do believe we get caught out, and I do agree with you. But when you look at when we get caught out, it's usually that we end up with a 3 instead of what we used to end up with was when we used to have the 2, and then there'd be 2 wingers overloaded.
Well, the majority of the time it happens is we get caught on the left-hand side now all the time because that seems to be the easier target out of it, yeah? So they always aim for Porro. Same as, what was it? When we played Archie Gray on the left, like once or twice, you saw the other team just focused on him straight away.
Galatasaray away.
You know what I mean? But everybody knows those are our weak spots because we're inverted, and every team does the same thing. But these days, they usually focus down the left because that seems to be our right hand side. That seems to be our very weakest point because we don't have a man come back and cover us like a winger just to even try and put them off. But if he just didn't use those inverted wing backs, and I still say he uses a majority of the times because many a time I've seen both of them nearly sitting in the number 10 role for God's sake. Yeah, I think that's one of his biggest problems. I don't think we'd concede a third of the amount of goals we concede if we didn't play inverted wing backs. But call it personal opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think Spence is a good enough the right backs. He just doesn't seem to be as effective. I think he seems to be much more effective on the left.
So that's really, really interesting because someone had said this to me the other day, and the reason why it works for him at left back is because when you're inverting the wing backs, when they're in that inverted position, they're actually playing on their opposite foot. So when he plays left back, he's playing on his stronger foot, which makes it easier for him than when he plays at right back, and probably what's the issue with Porro. And I just thought that's actually a good point. And I don't know how true that is, but
also majority of people he's coming up against will be left-footed. So they're actually not only from an attacking point of view is it easier for him, but it's also easier for him defensively because I don't know, and someone might decide that this is not true at all, but every time he's played against Mo Salah, he's actually had a good game, Spence. And I know Salah walked away. I think he got a penalty and an assist one game, but literally every time he come up to Spence just crunched him, and that was it. It was game over because he was coming in on his strong foot and Spence was there.
I think Spence's left foot's all right.
It is, but his stronger side is the right side.
Of course, but I think for a person that is one-footed, I think his weaker foot is quite decent. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think we've got quite a universal player there.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, isn't it?
I think he's quite a universal player. I think we've got a player with Spence. If you put him on the right, I think you'll get Not
get
as much
similar
attack out of him as Porro, but you'll get better. He's a better defender than Adoji and Porro.
He's the best
Much
fullback
better.
we have.
Yeah, it's best
Defensively
Yes.
by
Yeah,
100%.
But I think you can have him play on the left or on the right. I think he could even cover a midfield. And if on a worse situation, I mean, if you give me the choice, I'd play Porro as my winger and Spence as my right back. If I had to play
So
that
wait,
formation,
so who are we playing on the right? Who would Poch play on the right wing?
I'd have Porro.
No, wing, right wing.
I think
He
if
said Porro.
Oh, Porro. Oh, sorry. Yeah. My bad. Sorry. Yeah.
Porro is better.
Go on. I think you play right. I think you play right wing. I think you play Kulusevski. Similar to like Eric Lamela coming in, and you'd have Porro on the
I
overlap.
get what you're saying.
That's what I think.
Do you know what? I forgot about Kulu.
You see what I see with Porro, yeah? I look at Porro and I see I'm relating to a player, but he's nowhere on the standards. A poor man's Gareth Bale sort of thing, yeah? Okay, could do the job as right back, right wing back, whatever. I just still think Porro, like a Bale sort of thing, go stick him up the top, you will see the best
I hear what
out
you're
of him.
saying.
He's got a shot on him. He can pass okay. His cross is the best in the team.
But
he can take a long shot as well. I think you'd see much better off Porro as a right winger.
I just think with Poch, his system, his right winger doesn't play like a winger. They play more like, like how Amarim plays with the 10s. Like Ericsson sometimes was on the right of the three. But he never really hugged the touchline. He came in. Do you know what I'm saying? He came in. Even Son at times, yeah, when Son was playing at times, he never really hugged the touchline like that. Do you know what I'm saying? He would come in sometimes. Sometimes he'd start out.
Walker Rose down the wing.
Yeah, it's more Walker Rose that hugged the touchline. Yeah. Do you understand?
He effectively basically said to any of these wide players, move out the way of them two.
Exactly. Technically, Porro would work in that system. Porro would be effective on the right because Porro would be able to hug that touchline and be able to whip crosses in. You know what I'm saying? Like Walker tried to do, innit? Walker wasn't the best at crossing it into the box, but Walker used to bump up and down all the time. Up and down. Danny Rose the same.
That's why his legs are gone now.
I'd stick Porro on my right, and I'd have Kulusevski as my ghost sort of thing, as my shadow man.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the Poch system, Lamela never used to hug the touch like that. Do you understand? So
no, he used to cut in all the time.
Exactly. So imagine Porro cutting in. Doesn't make sense. You'd have Porro playing the Carl Walker. Do you know what I'm saying? That would make more sense. If it's now, if we're talking about an Ange system, then that makes more sense to play Porro.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But anyway. I think Luke's right in terms of Kulu. Kulu would play on the right, but he wouldn't hug the right. He would cut in like Lamela, or he would drop in like into the midfield. If it, like what Ericsson would do, start on the right, but then he would transform into the midfield and play a playmaker like that. Similar, if you wanted to do Maddison on the right wing,
I was just going to say
Maddison could do
the left wing.
Yeah, Maddison could do the same thing where he would be like a false winger. He would drop in and then create in that midfield. Like Eric Dyer, when he was a DM, used to drop into the back two to create a back three in it.
That's right.
Or sometimes it would be a back like a free.
That's what I'd want my DM to do, basically.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Hoiberg used to do it for us as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Hoiberg into the free.
We should have kept him.
Do you know what I mean? So
Hoiberg used to let his man go all the time. He used to pee me off.
But don't you think this is what I'm saying to you about the transfer window and about how poor the signings are? Is that we're now sitting here saying that actually a player of Hoiberg's stature would have actually improved us a bit. Like that is how poor the transfer
different profile. I think he's a different profile. I don't know if it would have improved us,
but we haven't got that sort of profile. We haven't got a player that can come in and do that job with that experience. That is a failure.
And said,
didn't go and sign up.
And said he's happy with the Archie Gray and Bergwijn, like Dan said.
He said he's happy with the signings.
I heard him.
Didn't play him though.
I'm pretty sure he would have wanted more.
It was something like, the youngsters have impressed us so much that we no longer feel the need to go into them.
But Ash, I'm going to put it out there. It's the same as with Poch coming out with these comments. The club have trained these men. There was something vital that Poch said today in his interview. Me and Daniel Levy still talk. Poch, do me a favour. There's a lot of heat on us right now. You want to come out of one of your comments that you want to come back again, so no one's looking at me.
I brought this up on Twitter, and I'm eager for all of you to make a judgment on it. Yeah. How do you think? I think that there might be if we keep Ange for another year, we'll get Poch, and that might be he's going to try and swindle it that way in terms of getting people back on side. because who's going to come in for a year? Pochettino's available in 1 year's time. When it comes to the summer, he'll have 1 year, and then it'll be a World Cup.
Yeah,
So
I don't think he has the time.
I think Marlon's right. I think it's more of a smokescreen. I think it's more of a thing where to keep the fans happy. Obviously, people aren't happy. We're 14th, joint 16th in the league, whatever you want to call it. Worst record, Dan's got all the stats. But talk of Poch now makes people feel giddy in that. And I've seen loads of videos on X where Poch is crying. You know what I'm saying? People love that emotional connection. What? A man crying for the club. Like,
but look at the three managers. No, but this is in all seriousness. Look at the three managers we have been linked with in the last few days for the shortlist. Where have they pulled that list from? Oh, I know what. I'll just go on social media and see what the Spurs community. They've come on YouTube. They've literally gone, these are the three names that have been mentioned for the last few months that have had a positive response. Well, let's just put it out there. Look, we didn't even know Odegaard was signing, but all of a sudden we know what three managers are on the shortlist. Do me a favour.
AI, man. AI. He's putting AI quick.
I think there's managers you look at, people notice other managers that people don't, same as players notice other players that people don't. All four of us could watch a game and I notice something that you three won't, and Luke could notice something us three won't, same with you two, whatever. That's the fun with football as such.
Yeah.
And plus, we've all got a different way of how we'd rather play a game, sort of thing. Some would be out and out, attack, defence. On the Poch thing, yeah, don't be surprised if it happens. I'll say why. If he does sack Ange, which he should, there's still a lot of Ange lovers out there. Even though I feel it's more now Ange out than Ange in, yeah? But there's still a lot
even Luke's Ange out.
I imagine forever. If he goes and manages Arsenal, I'm not joking.
Luke's trolling now. Don't worry, Luke's trolling.
He's going to have everyone turn on him one way or another, yeah? Whether it's for that reason, or that reason, yeah? I think my man has got one thing that could basically save his ass for another year, is if he brought Poch in, all of a sudden you'd have quite a few. You'd have the majority of Spurs fans saying, "Thank you."
And there's a release clause as well, which we know.
Yeah, he's not going to come. He's not going to come to the end of the World Cup.
No, whether he comes or doesn't come, whatever else. I'm just saying why I reckon it could happen. It would be the one thing that would save Levy is if he brought Poch back in. Now, do I want Poch back? I'd rather him than Ange. Let's put it that way. But I think if he brought Poch back, that is the one thing that could possibly save Levy's ass for another year.
Do you think Poch could cut it in this league now? Like, now this league is a bit more competitive.
He cut it with Chelsea. I don't care what people say. He cut it with Chelsea.
Towards the end, he was getting it right. Coming towards the end, they was going up while we was going down.
They should never have sacked him.
Yeah, and Maresca.
Why did we sack him?
Yeah, and Maresca got on the back of that, and now it's falling apart again.
Yeah, I mean, like, cause I don't know. I'm just trying to play. I'm just trying to think of the other argument, because the other argument people are saying, it's a whole romanticize of what he did for us, and can he really?
He won't get us anywhere near where he used to have us. I agree with that, but the problem is we're laying in 14th right now. I think anything is better than being in 14th.
But I think what we need to work out between us, and I'm sure we're all going to have different opinions, is where do we think we'll be next year? Do we think we're going to finish? If we had Ange, say we had Ange all next year, do you think we're going to win? Do you think we're 17th? and then you go off of after that is how much are these other managers going to improve us? But what's scary for me about their managers, and you're right, they might not be the ones that are actually going to get the job, but all three of them have very different philosophies. That's not what this club should be doing. We should be identifying a philosophy and then saying that's what we're sticking with. This is why we have so many players that don't fit Ange's system, because we go from Mourinho to Conte to Nuno and then bring in a manager that plays. It just like all the players don't fit into the jigsaw. It doesn't make any sense. And then we do the same thing next time.
But you had 16 players, 400 million, and you keep telling me that was all down to Levy, nothing down to him. I don't believe that.
He would have agreed. So let's really take that back, because I know that gets thrown around a lot. But Conte and Mourinho had players come into this club who the hell they didn't want, and they both said at 2 certain points after not getting Bastoni, not getting what's his name, Skriniar, they went. I remember Mourinho coming out and go, "I had a good window. I've got a thing." Conte did exactly the same thing. Whether they agreed to it or not, that is another situation. So I'm not really going to throw Ange underneath that bus, especially when he did lose Harry Kane a day before the season had started.
He never lost Harry Kane. He never had Harry Kane, so he never lost him.
Yeah, but he got told to train with him, and he never lost him. But so they spent 4 weeks not buying a striker for him. That's uncalled for.
That did no favours. But when Ange was coming in, Kane had already put it out that I'm off. He was gone. He was dusted. So Ange never had Harry Kane.
So
if Ange was then putting Harry Kane in his team, then Ange is stupid because he knew Harry Kane was leaving.
No, but he did. But in the sense of the club would have made him play. Ange just turned up, and they've put him in a situation already to kind of go. It's a mess. It's a mess before it even started for Ange.
But on the point of Harry Kane, just on Harry Kane, he never had Harry Kane, so he never lost anything.
Yeah, they would have told him that he would have had to, because he played virtually all the pre-season friendlies. They would have told Ange, you have to play him, because if you don't play him, Bayern are going to know that he's going, and therefore they're going to get him cheap.
It's going to be a fee, The fee is not going to get
He did have Kane. Kane had to play, and Kane had to be a focal point of all of the setup and everything else.
The fact that he played the friendly a week before the season started. So the fact he played the friendly a week before it started, what preparation is that for Ange when he's going into the season and he's got to play Brentford the week after?
Okay, I get your point, but he never lost that. He never lost Kane because he never had Kane.
But he still had to prepare into a season with Kane being the focal point.
With Kane being there, but he knew that Kane was going before the season started.
But what's happened is the board and have put him under that pressure, and he's only just
that
started.
One I won't deny, but to me, he never lost Harry Kane.
But it's not a great start.
Maybe not, but he never lost Harry Kane because he never had him. A couple of friendlies.
The other thing with that is the argument is not necessarily that Ange lost Kane in terms of it's more that everyone else had Kane and Ange didn't. There's a big difference there. There's two difference makers in
and before you sit there and tell me he had a better defense, because I know that's what everyone's argument is, but when you're comparing Kane to the defense we've got now,
but we scored more goals without Kane.
I know, but
how many would Kane get in this system?
But they were too reliant on one player, and this team were more spread evenly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now imagine a Kane in it.
But we hate all the players.
Yeah, but if we do that, then those players aren't scoring those goals. I think. Do you know what I mean? I think some of those players aren't contributing as much because we're now looking. Everything's going through Kane again. Everything's going through Kane, as opposed to
did that for a long time, didn't we? Basically, don't worry, Harry Kane will save the day.
Yeah, exactly. Just looking for him.
I mean, if you go through players that they've had, Conte's team compared to this team was diabolical compared to what Ange has got. Yeah, look at that poxy defense he had. Yeah, what Longley? Davis, Sanchez. Wicked.
But that's just. But all you're highlighting to me is how much of a world-class player Harry Kane was.
Harry Kane is a world-class player. I'm not denying any difference.
But when I'm looking at Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner, and Solanke, I'm not looking at Romero van der Ven and your doggy going there a world-class defense.
I get that. But when you've got the defense now that we've got compared to what Conte had, you shouldn't be conceding 3 or 4 less goals by the end of the season.
Yeah, but everyone says that Conte's the best defensive manager ever. And we should bring him back. So he should be able to work miracles. He was paid 5 times what Ange is paid.
He did work miracles. He got us 4th place and he left us in 4th place.
To be honest, he did work miracles.
The last season he didn't.
Ange with this team would have already been relegated. He left us in 4th place.
And he should have left us in 3rd, because if Southampton doesn't happen and we do win that game, we were 3rd.
That's why he left.
And that is exactly why he left. And the season, the way it ended, and the form it went into was because they let Conte go.
If I remember rightly, we had a real tough run of fixtures when he left as well. And there was a lot of players. Romero already come out and said, if he stayed, I'm gone. And there was a lot of players that were like that. So again, we can't just take the facet of, he had got good results. Yeah, but every single top player wanted to leave. So
but he still got the results though. But these players want to stay, and Andrew's not getting the results.
Did we get mashed up by Newcastle? 6 what was it? 6-1.
It was 6-1. Yeah.
Did we get mashed up if Conte was there? What?
We got beat 5-1 on the last day of the season when they were relegated. With I think Poch was in charge. This is what I mean. We've always had these strange results and beaten by weird teams. It's always happened. Conte lost to Mora, and Mourinho lost to a European side when the manager was in prison.
And Conte with 9 worse players than what Ange's got, or maybe let's say 8, and a much, much worse defence, a stale goalkeeper who was done and dusted.
He was the son, wasn't he?
And he still conceded only 3 more goals.
All right, quick question, yeah? 9 games left. 9 games left, yeah?
Sack him.
What is the highest position we can finish? That's what I want to know.
11th, isn't it?
Yeah, I
11th.
don't think we're getting 10th.
You think we're getting 10th? Because I remember before. No, I remember before. Listen, man, them was saying 8th. Yeah, man, them were like, we're happy. Yeah, if we could go on a run, we could get 8th.
Bro,
now
it's lost to Fulham.
Yeah, we lost. Yeah.
Ash, you're trolling at it, man. Ash, you're trolling.
Listen, it just keeps going down and down and down.
But I'm not like this. There's a lot of Angian people that are saying that the Prem don't matter. No, they keep saying that the league doesn't matter, and if we lose every game, I don't agree with that at all. I still think that if he doesn't put in performances as well as results, I think the performances are just as key. If we start going back to playing
100%,
because
the way
that we've been playing recently is terrible.
What? You think
But let's put this in perspective. These are our fixtures. Chelsea away.
Done.
Yeah?
Done.
Right?
Why even turn up? Why even go there? Let's just say let's take a day off and give them 3 points.
Are you not all going to sit there and tell me, that you are confident that we're going to beat Southampton in between 2 Europa League games?
No.
That's
I'm not confident on beating anyone. I'm not confident of beating anybody. I know we've got the capability to win games, but I'm not confident in any game anymore.
Southampton. Who's after Southampton? Go on.
Okay, Wolves will be after Southampton.
At the Molineux.
At Molineux.
Say, Philip.
Okay.
Allow me. Go on.
That's 9 points.
And then it's Nottingham Forest at home.
That's 12.
Yeah,
or Liverpool away.
All right, later.
That's another one we don't have to go there. There's another 3 points we just give them.
How many points? That's what I'm asking. How many? Hey, lads.
So we're pretty much three or four, yeah? So
real
3 or 4.
Real soon.
Right? And then depends if we beat Frankfurt, we're going to I don't even know when the next leg is. I think it's between the Forest game, isn't it? Or something like that, or Liverpool. It might be
just after Southampton is the first one, isn't it? Just after Southampton.
So yes, the second leg is after the Wolves game. Is that right? Yeah. So the first leg's after the Southampton, and then after that is Wolves, and then Frankfurt, and then
he's already preempted the Thursday Sunday thing, and just already come out and said it again, like we might have the Thursday Sunday thing again.
And then you've got the Thursday Sunday is more difficult, but if you look at all of the teams after playing a midweek Champions League game, they struggle. Liverpool went out, lost to Newcastle. Aston Villa have been poor. I don't think they've won a game after the Champions League. So it's not just us that have been impacted there. It's everyone that's been impacted for the Sunday after the Champions League or Europe.
Listen, all I'm saying is,
get your point out. Come on, what do you want to say? Spit.
If we don't finish, in that top half, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
So everyone, to translate. Ash is Ange out if we don't finish in 10th or higher. He's gone. He's gone.
I'm not having it.
Then you might as well say Ange out now, because we're going to be lucky if our highest place we can finish that. And remember, we have to rely on other teams losing and stuff like that as well. Right. And this will be a miracle if we do it. It's
12th place.
Chelsea. Yeah, 12th and 11th will be.
12th will be a miracle. I think we finish 14th.
I think 12th will be a good season.
Yeah, on this show, if you're looking at the potential results of points we could pick up between now and then, 12th will be a good.
Do you know what's mad? I tell you what's mad. You think Crystal Palace, right? Only won their first game. Was it October when they beat us? And now they've won the exact same amount of games as us. So that is mad.
But they went and beat loads of teams, didn't they? It's the same thing. Like when we talk about the new manager, I had a little look through the stats against the new managers, and Ange's absolutely. I think it's 4 games against. Who have I got it down as? I had to write it down. 4 games against Frank. He's got 3 wins against him. He's had his team. He's settled. He knows what he's doing. Our manager's clueless. Got no tactics.
Okay. Where are they in the league?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's the
No,
the
but
level that
I'm
we're
just
focusing
asking.
at.
Yeah,
We're
but I'm
focusing
asking
at
you, where were they in the
9.
league?
I don't know. They're above us. I know
They're
that.
above us. Right. My point is, yeah.
Every manager has
You
their
go-
bogey manager.
Yeah, you go. That one I agree with as well. But you go and get a manager. There is only so much you can do with certain teams. I understand that, yeah. And you go give them a better team, and as long as they play that team to what they are best at, each player, you will make the team better. You will become a better manager and look better because you're with a better team. Now you go and give Ange Nottingham Forest, they're struggling relegation. Same as Bournemouth, same as Brighton, same as quite a few other teams. I think he would be struggling in relegation with them.
Do you think?
Maybe not so much Brighton. Brighton, I take that one back. But what I'm basically
What
trying
about
to
Man
say is,
City though? Like, because to Luke's point, Luke's saying like, and some of the people in the comments, they're saying it's the players' IQ, it's the players that we didn't get the players, didn't get backed properly, we don't have the quality. But if Andrew's at Man City, is he doing better than what he did at Pep with Pep? What Pep's doing right now?
not
Not
a chance.
without,
Did have them in 10th.
not without Rodri. No, with Rodri,
The problem
he
is
probably wins
Injuries. Would you reckon you'd get Man City injured as well, or do you think you'd have them more?
Haaland ain't running about, is he?
Iraola has just as many injuries, I keep being told, and he's played about a third of the games less. So if he comes to us,
Yeah,
how
but
many injuries?
Yeah, but
Iraola,
look with Ange.
you
Give
expect,
him the best
where do
team
you expect
ever.
Bournemouth to be though? Like this Areola thing, I think like it's mad. I think they've done well this season, and they should have beaten us. Like when I watched it, I was like, "All right, this is not a bad audition." I thought Bournemouth outplayed us both times. You know what I'm saying? Home and away.
And he lost
Home
a 2-goal
and away.
lead. Perfect for Spurs.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, innit? Like with the injuries, I think he's doing better than Ange.
Yeah, you see,
God.
No,
Ange,
that's what I'm
yeah?
saying. What I'm
Go
saying
give
is
Ange the best team you can think of. Yeah. Now the best defense I can think of that I ever saw was probably, I'm going to go random, but I'm going to go a guest of Cafu, Nesta, Maldini, and I can't remember. No, Maldini weren't in the middle. It was Nesta. It was that AC Milan defense. Yeah. They're still conceding goals, too many goals, more than they would.
Go give him Baresi and Maldini though.
Go give him the best Barcelona team there's been out there, the best Real Madrid, the best Bayern Munich. He ain't winning the league. He would not win the league with him. He would concede too many points in too many games. He would get too many draws or even a defeat in games he shouldn't because he's so wide open at the back.
Dan, Ange doesn't draw games. He doesn't draw games.
Okay, he'd be losing games that he wouldn't usually lose because we're so open at the back.
It's quite weird because I looked at Ange's win percentage and loss percentage at Celtic, and when you look at his win percentage was quite high. But when you look at how many games he actually lost, because he doesn't draw many, most of the games he ends up just losing. I always think that's a recipe for disaster. Because if you go and look at how Sir Ferguson started at Man United, and even what's his name, Arteta, they draw a lot of games, and when you've got games in the balance like that, it's more easy to turn a draw into a win than a loss into a win. And I think that's what Ange's issue is. He has way too many losses on his belt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use the Spanish league as a barometer, but when he went in there at Celtic, Rangers won the league by 20 points, and within 1 year he'd done a 26-point swing.
Mm-hmm.
So
but did Gerrard leave though? That was because Gerrard left.
I think Gerrard left, but then they lost 3 of their big players as well. Celtic. They
Yeah.
sold 3 big ones. They sold Edouard, who I know is not great here, but he's unbelievable up there.
Well, it is Scotland.
Aya, who went to Brentford, and then he lost another as well. Oh, it might be Ryan Christie as it goes from Bournemouth.
Yeah, it was Ryan Christie.
So
let's just be totally honest. Any one of us 4 could go to Celtic right now and win that league. That Scottish league is as low as it goes. That Scottish league is ranked lower than the American. Yes, that Scottish league is ranked lower than the American league. If I remember right, that Scottish league isn't even in the top 20 in the world, is it?
Yeah, but we're not going there. Like, I get a lot of people dismiss the Scottish league. It's not as bad as it's not as bad as people make out.
What I'm saying is,
we couldn't
Celtic
go and manage.
Are that far ahead over everybody. They could lose over 3/4 of their players and still win that league by 10 points.
But they didn't the year before. That's what I'm just saying. I'm not saying that makes him a great manager. I'm just saying that the year before they didn't win it.
Yeah,
What
there's
do
two teams.
What do you make of Brendan Rodgers then? What do you make of Brendan Rodgers?
Won the FA Cup, got relegated.
Yeah.
Um,
FA Cup relegated.
was good at Swansea.
Was good
Made
at
him an
Swansea.
established Premier League
I
side.
don't think he's a bad manager. I don't think he's a great manager. I don't think he's a bad manager. But I just think that Scottish League, any one of us could go there with Celtic and win that easily. Most people can't even name the Scottish League.
Because Rogers right now.
It's the ignorance, Dan. What? Not because they don't want to.
No, that's because the league is that small and petty that people don't know about it. People could probably name more out of the Dutch league than they could the Scottish League. Why? Because it is bar Celtic and Rangers, and what people only know of Aberdeen basically because of what Ferguson did there.
And they're having a good season.
Apart from that, that league is a minor.
Are Aberdeen having no good season this year? Yes or no? Yes.
By Scottish standards, maybe. But that league is a minor. It always has been. Whether it sounds offensive or not, facts are facts at the end of the day.
But it's not. Yeah, but you look at that league, and it's not the only league that has two teams in it.
There's having two teams.
Look at the French league. The French league has been dominated by Paris Saint-Germain for the last how many years?
I'm not denying.
But yeah, Paris Saint-Germain have just knocked out what is our champions elect.
Marlon, who's the last manager that didn't win the league with a PSG?
When it Poch.
Yeah. And then he went and won it.
And that's my point. Isn't necessarily that Ange is the answer. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that the options that are being brought up for me are not the next level option. They're not.
What is the next level option for you?
No one can sit here and say to me that if Ariella comes in,
what's the next level up for you? Like what is it?
A lot of people are saying Xavi's the next level.
I would say so.
I would say Xavi's a level above the three that have been.
But can I say it was something that's quite funny? Do you remember when we were being linked with Luis Enrique? And
I remember that.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "No, he's not good enough to be at Tottenham Hotspur. We should be getting this, that, and the other." And all of a sudden, the man's doing bits at PSG.
Exactly. I remember being on a show. I was on Irish Hotspur actually. Yeah, big up Irish. And I said, Luis Enrique, I think I'll take him. That man looked at me like I was sniffing crack or something.
Who was it? Dave or Jack?
I can't remember. But I was like, bro, like Enrique. Now I remember Eddie Howe. I thought Eddie Howe was all right. I said, yeah, Eddie Howe's all right. No, Eddie Howe at Spurs. No, we don't want him. Blah, blah, blah.
No, do you know what though? No. Forget that Eddie Howe won the trophy. He was good at the weekend, but when he had 2 games a week last year, he struggled.
Yeah, he did struggle. He did struggle, but from where they were,
and he got injuries.
They had injuries.
Look where they were,
and they had all those injuries as well. So
they had worse injuries than us.
Look at where they
didn't
were.
have worse injuries than us. I looked into this. They didn't.
Last season they did.
It'll be interesting to see where Spurs finish and then where Newcastle finish.
Hey, mate, if we're looking at the Newcastle model, then next year Ange is winning the League Cup, you know.
I'd take any.
No, but where did Newcastle finish? That's what I want to know.
Well, last year.
Was there injuries? Let me know.
They finished
7th, yeah.
Huh? 7th?
7th.
Huh?
Yeah.
7th? Huh?
But,
where are we going to finish?
Hold on. There is a however. Because I think I compared this when it was like January time. Newcastle and Spurs were pretty much quite similar on how many games was won, drawn, and lost. Our January form just made it worse than Newcastle because I think they started to get all their players back where we didn't.
Yeah,
we was losing games before we had all our players out. We lost.
No. This was I was comparing it. So Newcastle last year because there was a panelist that we had, and I compared it, and it was up until like the 20th game or something stupid. Where us and Newcastle's record from last season.
Marlon, you're saying if we get our players back.
No, I'm not.
So what are we doing then, bro?
I'm not getting baited into that
one. He's trying to bait you out there big time.
Yeah, he's going to win the cup next year. 3rd season.
Have you never heard of the 3rd season bans?
I've said at the start of this season, it would not surprise me if Ange wins a cup because his style of play can actually win a cup. I don't deny that, because it can work over 6 games. Ange's game, I called it out after 7 games when he first got here. You can vouch for other people will vouch for me on that. When I said that live on there, and people said you're crazy. I said no. His style of play will not work in the Premiership over 38 games. It's impossible. It won't do it. Over 38 games, you cannot play Ange way and win it, basically, A league, you can. Because in a league, you can have a bit of luck. Yeah. But with a cup, you can have a bit of luck and you can play 5 games a certain way.
But
With a
that,
league, never.
the other thing too, that is under this ownership, we're never going to be a sustained winning machine. We're not going to go and win title after title.
I'm 100% with you on that
nicking the odd cup here and there. And that's what I'm saying. By bringing in the other man, I'm not saying that this year is obviously unacceptable. And if this happens again, then whatever, obviously he'll have to go. But in bringing in the next manager that we're talking about, we're not guaranteeing anything.
So Dan, Ash, Luke, if we bring in a manager next season, right, and it's one of the 3 that are on the list, it might not be, but one of the 3, what would be your expectations for next season? What is your minimum requirement? Are you expecting him to be making Champions League or not?
No. First season, I can understand that you give the manager leeway, yeah, because you got to build somewhere, yeah. Okay. Second season, I get it, you're still building, but the difference is with what Ange has done. I expect my team to sort of do that and start getting better, like Chelsea. Ange has done this. We went like that, and then like that. Yeah, there was no coming down slowly. We went down like a ton of bricks, yeah. And ever since then, them first 10 games, we have gone down, 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 down. We have got worse. Yes, we finished 5th in the end of last season. Thank God for those first 10 games. And I said to everyone, he ain't got the 10 games to back his ass this year. And it obviously shows. Because since then, we have gone down and down and down. I have seen no improvement in Spurs whatsoever. I have seen us get worse and worse. I want to see a manager. I want to see progress. Now, if I see my manager and my team slowly doing better, getting there bit by bit, I'm a happy man. When I see my team just come crashing down to the point that we're only not going for relegation because there's 3 extremely shit teams in this league, I want him gone. What improvement have we seen under Ange since he got here? Bar those first 10 games, what improvement?
Luke?
What am I answering? Because there's about 3 questions there. I've got Marlon's question and Dan's.
Sorry.
Well,
wait, don't answer mine. I forgot why I asked.
No, sorry. I drifted it over. It's my bad.
In terms
he asked,
of
what do you want a manager to do?
I haven't seen anything improve recently because we've been terrible recently. But yeah, so I just think that from what I've seen previously, yeah, there's a bit of hope in there, but there is with everyone. There's, do you know what I mean? And also, again, it's also the options that are coming in. As I say, I think if we go through Iriola, I feel like he's going to have very similar problems to what Poch's Ange has got in terms of injuries. He's never dealt with a European campaign in terms of physicality in the Premier League, that sort of stuff. I think if we go to Frank, I think he's so flexible that, again, we've probably got loads of players where he's going to be chopping and changing. The fans are not going to like that. They'll get on his back. And I think it's very similar to Marco Silva. I think it'll be a shiny new toy, exactly like Ange. Great, brilliant. We love it. And then after 6-7 games where we don't know who's starting and that player should be playing and he shouldn't have been, we'd then be binning them off and in 18 months we're having the same conversation. In terms of the new manager, I think a lot of it could come down to how many European places there are, because I think that's massively underestimated how much that affects, especially the teams that don't have a bigger squad. So you could end up, like, for instance, Forest could have Champions League next year. You could have Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford. They could all have
potentially half football. The league could be in Europe next year, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's something stupid where this ain't
going to happen. If Spurs and Man United win it,
if Villa win it, if Chelsea win it, if Man United it will be 11 places. Yeah. So we'll get Europe. But I think we could potentially be looking at European places. And actually saying this, and this is a real sneaky way of doing it, but I think if we got the Conference League, if we could get the Conference League next year, so obviously if we could get the Conference League, then that could be an opportunity of winning a trophy. We can say we're champions of Europe, even though there's 2 teams that have won a bigger trophy and a better trophy that year, but still.
Yeah, we do the West Ham thing, innit? But I think we could definitely get top 6. Top 4 is a bit of a push, but I think we could get top 6. And the reason being we'll get a top 6 to top 4 finish is for that reason Lucas said already, that half the teams are going to be in Europe and they won't be used to dealing with that level of, or they won't have a squad big enough.
And we're winning it then.
Winning what?
We're winning the league if half the teams are in Europe.
If we have 10 and the 4 that have been suggested, I'm going to say that Ange wins a trophy before Spurs.
God, you look at Spurs this season. If we only had to play 15 games, sort of thing, compared to everyone else, look, Ange in this league is not happening. His tactics, he just won't change it, so
Do you
it won't happen.
on a quick thing? Do you think a lot of people with Ange, because I actually posted something earlier, and I think this is probably the biggest issue with Ange, is that Ange and the fans are so disconnected since after that Manchester City game. A lot of fans are just not with him because Poch said today in his first year and a half at Spurs, him and the fans were disconnected, and then and then he said to his staff that basically we need to get on side with the fans and get on board with them, and that's when things started to work. So is Ange probably going through the same thing at the moment?
I don't think he's not helped himself with this. With
No.
the one on the weekend was I'm always split 50-50 around managers giving it back. I always agree that the fans pay their money; they should say what they like. But then I
Too right.
think at the end of the day, you're still a human. Whether you think he's shit or you think he's shit, that's it. It don't need to be fat. It don't need to be this. It don't need to. But what the fan said
I'll go with that.
But he only said what was that. It was almost
and it wasn't even the Spurs fan, was it? Because everyone's saying
no, it was a Spurs fan. It was a Spurs fan, but he got into the Fulham crowd somehow. Exactly. I've read about it, and others have said it. He managed to wander over.
What Fulham fan's gonna record that? Like, why? Like, do you know what I'm saying? What purpose does that serve?
Does to be fair, logically, it could be an Arsenal fan.
Logically, yeah. Well, what? To get Ange sacked? An Arsenal fan wants Ange to stay. You mad? You don't want Ange to go anywhere.
But people can do anything.
Why would
for
he
clicks.
do that?
Yeah, but everyone's going to do something for clicks and likes. How many people do anything?
You might about 4 times tonight.
If it was Lego Head, I'd do the same. I'd be sitting there recording and go, what was that? You bottler.
It's more likely, in my opinion, to be a Spurs fan. That, like Dan said,
it could have been anybody. He could have been a fan of anybody because a lot of people don't like Ange at the moment. It could have been anyone.
I mean, look at what he's gone and done. I mean, I've never seen a manager contradict. Now, I get a manager has to chat his BS and that, yeah, but I've never seen a manager shoot himself in the feet so many times. I'm surprised my man can even walk. I mean, like, seriously, I'm surprised he's got feet left in that aspect. He has done himself over like a kipper. How many times where he's contradicted? I mean, what was the other thing he said, if I remember right? Apart from when he says he doesn't mind, like, he don't care about conceding goals, he just wants to score goals. Right, red flag, I got an issue with that manager. Then when he turns around and starts preaching at me that, yeah, but it's about entertainment, red flag, I got an issue with that manager. Then when he starts turning around and saying, yes, but let's leave it to the fans. Let the fans make their decision. Let the fans say whether they're happy or not. Now the fans saying they're not happy, Ange ain't liking it. No, I think Ange has just chatted too much bullshit and it's come back and bit him in the arse every time. And he hasn't liked what's happened with it. When he turns around and got asked, you win a trophy every second season, don't you? He should have just replied, I have done. Not turn around and slam it down. Yes, I do. Okay, he didn't say he was gonna. But you do not go to Tottenham and say, yes, I do, and slam your hand down, because we are the most bloodthirsty animals out there for a trophy because we've been so, like, we haven't had nothing for a long time. And then other stuff I could go on with what he said. I mean,
the whole trophy thing. I know that it looks terrible when it don't pay off, but it worked both ways. Because if it like Isaac, for instance, when he scored the goal in the final and he's sitting there giving it the old big and about Van Dijk. Well, if Liverpool then score 3, he looks like a rat muppet. So
I get that.
Say he wins a trophy. I know this is a long shot, but say he wins a trophy. How much of a big bollock saying is that early on in the season? Do you know what that is part of
that? Dan's already said he's going to give him an extra 6 months.
I've already said that, yeah. But I will still say that I still wouldn't really want him as my manager because of how crap he is over 38 games. But I would have to give him credit where credit is due if he goes and wins that league.
Mate, there's so many of us eating humble pie if he wins that.
Exactly. It's like the other thing about Ange. If he's this big manager over 26 years and he's only just been noticed, I mean, my man didn't even have a proper UEFA proper UEFA badge until he bloody halfway through his time at Celtic, for God's sake.
That's right, isn't it? I forgot about that.
Yeah,
because what's his name was complaining about it when he joined them.
That's right. He didn't even have a UEFA badge.
Who is this man? Why is he coming in with you think Celtic can do better than this? And obviously he had to eat humble pie with it. But yeah, you're right. He didn't have a proper badge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I think I agree with the trophy thing. I feel like he put pressure on himself. But if he walks away with a trophy in that second season, and
no two ways about it.
that is some of the biggest. That is one of the biggest statements I've ever heard in football. To around and say that early on at a club like Spurs. But no, I agree with you. I agree.
But look at all the other stuff he's contradicted.
Dan, you're going to celebrate it, right? You're going to celebrate it.
Of course I will.
You're not allowed to celebrate it. No, you're not allowed to celebrate
without
it.
a doubt. I want for Spurs. I support Tottenham Hotspur, not Ange Hotspur.
If you're Ange out, you can't.
I don't care. I don't care about the managers. I don't care about the players. I just want the best for the club. If that player isn't good enough for the club, he can go. The other point I make with that last one quickly, is Ange getting some stick on there. No, he doesn't deserve abuse, same as none of the other players. Like some of the stick Brendan Johnson got. But then a lot of the stick they both got as well was people saying, you ain't good enough. You ain't doing good enough. And people can't handle that crap. Well, I'm sorry. If you are crap at your job and getting paid $100,000 a week, you deserve to be told. You can't just have sunshine blown up your ass 24/7. So we're meant to stand there and say, yes, Ange, well done when he wins good games.
It doesn't matter how
long
you've been doing
players. And yes to players, how good they play and when they play well. But when they play bad, we have to keep our mouth shut and just clap for them, No, it works both ways again. You got, like I said, credit where credit is due. But with Ange, give me some credit to give. You want respect? Earn respect. Give me something to respect. He has given me nothing to respect.
And that's the other thing about it as well, is that I'm going to guess now that it's probably about 60-40. I think Ange out is about 60% from what I've seen from a few polls that have been put out. And that's changed. I think it was probably 60-40 the other way just before December. But I don't feel like at any game that the fans have made that a problem. I don't feel like the atmosphere has been amazing, but at the same time I don't feel like it's been terrible in terms of we want to get rid of Ange, that's the end of it sort of thing. Because I think the players were coming over to say like we need to be together, and I was like, don't really feel like the fans need that dig out, because they haven't really put you in a position where the atmosphere is horrendous just because they want Ange out. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit of a balance. There has to be a bit of a balance there, but it's a tough one, because when your players are doing that week in, week out, then something's not right. Why do these players still back him?
It's a question. So
I just find
is that one we can answer for next week, because we're over international football.
Do the players actually back him? Do you think he has got that dressing room 100% behind him?
Tell came out full force. He was like, you got to get behind the.
It took a player on loan to do that.
Yeah, but the Spencer's come out. I keep hearing, but this is the one thing that drives me mad.
As well. So where's my captain Son? Where's my vice captain Maddison? Where's my vice captain Romero coming over and preaching my manager off? Like, don't grill my manager. We will get this done. Where's all the other players coming out doing it?
I don't think he's lost all of them.
Romero's done it on Instagram. Romero's done it on Instagram, hasn't he? I think Romero come out, dug out the board and dug out the medical team, dug out everyone other than Ange at the moment. He's on a rampage, so I think he's probably off into someone.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Like, it's a point. They are still backing him, I think. I know some people will say, "Nah, it's PR. They get paid to say that." Rare tear. But like some of the players, when I watch them play, anyway, this is what I think. It's my opinion. I think.
You have your rant.
Yeah, no, I just think that's what I think it is. I think
your analysis. You do your analysis.
I think Kulu's still playing for him. I think Spencer's still playing for him. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a few players that are still fighting for the badge. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they're professionals, isn't it? So some may like toe the line.
That hasn't been the case with other managers, though, has it? We've seen players fully down tools. There's been evidence.
I think that's why Levy's kept him there as well, though. I think the players have saved him at the same time. And I've heard Maddison. Actually, I did hear Maddison come out, and this could be PR. And I think it was Sky Sports News, and he came out and he was like,
his interview.
He did an interview, yeah. So he was like, the injuries have played a big part. You know, I mean, the people say it's an excuse, but I think it's a valid one. So I don't know if that's PR or what. Well, obviously, like it's another player coming out.
I'm gonna pull a Dan one out. I'm gonna do a couple of stats for you. So, players as of February the 11th. our players missed 213 games. That's 44 more than anyone in Europe, so nearly 25% more than anyone in Europe. And 5 players were out, either injured or suspended, for 22 consecutive games. So we had at least 5 players out for 22 consecutive games, and most of them was in the 10s, not the 5s.
And
So it's all on him. Everything's on him. Vicario broke his ankle. That's Ange. If Ange didn't ask him to jump up in the air, he
No, Vicario's one. Shit happens.
No, Dan. It is Ange's fault, because if Spurs didn't play the way they did, he would never been put in that situation to begin with.
No, with a goalkeeper. Do you know what? That's another thing that I don't get about the way we play. Why do we take more chances with a pass in front of our own defence than we do up the other end of the pitch? Why is it at our end of the pitch we'll make a pass where there's a 50-50 chance it goes, but up the other end of the pitch we won't pass unless there's, like, say, a 70% chance? It's
because, and even though I don't always agree with it, I think you should mix it up again. I do agree. You should mix it up.
I think we'll mix it up.
I think what it is that we're trying to draw the opposition to do a man-to-man press on our players, and if we play through that press, the space is in behind, and it looks like a counter-attack because we've moved the ball around quickly and we're able to get in behind them, and then our wingers would have a 1v1 either with their fullbacks or they're in on goal, pretty much. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know.
And that's why it looks like Spurs look like a better team, like a counter-attacking team. We look better on transition.
I know.
Sometimes when we play out from the back, we've created that situation where it looks like what we're doing. I think that's my opinion, but I agree.
I'll make you right. But then why is it every game we play against, every team plays the same way and has 3 or 4 players charging at us the second we get the ball at the goalkeeper, and we have a goalkeeper who's pretty crap on his feet? Every goalkeeper we've had since Ange's been there, as soon as they've got the ball at their feet, they've had a panic attack because they don't want to pass the ball about, they want to boot the ball. It should have the attitude, when in doubt, kick it out at times, yeah? But Ange just wants you to pass it all the time. How many times has that cost us a pass out from the keeper or the defender to another defender next to him when he could have just got the ball forward, but he's done it the way Ange just told him to?
The goal against AZ is exactly, if you could put down a tactical move around getting the goal that he wants. The goal against AZ, where you go across the back line, goes in, Maddison drops in, and Maddison actually, I think that might be the interview. There was an interview after the game where he spoke about that they rehearsed that Maddison was to drop in, and that's an Ange goal. That's exactly what he wants.
I can totally get that, yeah. But again, with the defence, shouldn't it at least be like roll it up a bit, like change it about a bit? But we don't. This is what I'm saying. It's the same with everything. We do everything the same way, nearly every game, 90%. How many managers or how many players have stood there and said, it's Tottenham, we know how to play against them?
You know, you're right, man. I think we do need to mix it up. And in the summer, we need improvements. We need, Son needs to be upgraded, innit? Son needs to be upgraded. The 6 needs to be upgraded.
The medical team need upgrading. The recruitment team need upgrading. The scouts need upgrading.
I think Paratici's gone. I think Paratici's gone, by the way.
Everything needs to be upgraded, and that is the thing for me. It's true. We could get a new manager in who's going to get the same problems that the last 10 managers have had, unless we fully go and do it properly and start at the very bottom and work all the way up. I don't think much changes. I think at the moment we are a club that is going to be lucky at getting a cup win. Even the big decisions that Levy's made and in theory have got right. When he got Pochettino, he wanted Van Gaal. We missed out on Van Gaal. We went and got him, and then we go and do something well. So even the big decisions that look like he got right, he's got wrong because he wanted Van Gaal initially. So that's our big problem, is that we're going to be a chancer team who might win a cup until things change at the top.
At the end, we all know what the real problem at this club is: the disease. Whatever you want me to call him, I can think of a name for him, but I won't say it. And that is Levy. Until we get some radioactive treatment with him, he ain't going nowhere.
Why? Yeah. Oh, on
a big positive note.
Yeah, I thought we should end it there, man. Any final words, Marlon?
Where can you find the boys first? Dan, promote Hotspur Hood, man.
Oh, here, there, and everywhere. Haven't been doing much of my own stuff as such. Only just got back into things in the past 2 weeks, and obviously start doing my own shows and that again very soon. And thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it.
Nice one, man. Big up Dan, man. Hospital Hood. Also, Luke, spotlight on Spurs.
Yeah, so
when you dropping? When you dropping, bro?
I'm hoping the second week of the internationals. I'm gonna drop the first video. Hopefully, do like a little season review. It's not going to be a purely Angian shows. Don't worry about it. We're going to try.
No, man, we need it, man. We need
some sort of balance.
And
listen, it's a dicey game. Every time I'm coming on one of these, I'm signing up before the next game. I'm thinking, God, let's try and grab a win because make these decisions a bit easier.
I bet you were gassed on Thursday. You're like, yeah.
No. See, I'm not one of them. So I can't. It drives me mad. I don't agree with. We win a game. Oh, you Anjats, you're clearly clueless. You got no idea, and then it flips the other way. There has to be balance to that. It's madness. Like,
doesn't make good YouTube though.
After I've started my channel and I've done a couple of vids, then ask me again, and I might change my mind.
I want to see that. Them, you know them. What do you call it? What do you call it when they got the headlines on the page? Clickbait. I want to see some clickbait with Ange on the front. You know.
I'm gonna start every stream with an Ange face.
Yeah.
And just start arguing with all this chat who are all.
And just change his tactics. You know what I'm saying? One of them clickbait ones. I want to see them.
So I'm on YouTube Spotlight on Spurs, and then I'm on Twitter Spotlight on Spurs as well. All got the same names in the underneath me.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on again.
No problem, man. Big up the chat as always. Big up.
It's been active tonight.
Yeah, man. You know what it is? We got no Premier League to look at.
All I'm saying is we're going to be unbeaten in 2 weeks. It's probably the best form we've had all season. So there you go. Anjin, and
Shocking.
Enjoy it while it lasts, boy. Also, before I find out, I've got a show tomorrow. Rivals, obviously, we'll be looking back on the Newcastle win against Liverpool. That should be very interesting. And we're just going to talk about some other topics coming up. Obviously, we've got the Europa for Man United as well to consider as well. It's not just us in that Europa conversation. Man United is also in it as well.
2 tactics about tomorrow.
2 tactics should be back by tomorrow, so it should be interesting to
appreciate. Let him have his show, man. Let him have his show. Why talk about anything else for? It should be one thing and one thing only.
appreciation one. Yeah, say no more. But yeah, man, big up.
Everybody, and I'll speak to Luke and Dan afterwards. We have a video dropping on Saturday. Make sure everyone hits the notification bell on this one. Remember, we did a video back in November. It's time to replay that video and go back to see where people are now. It's going to be where basically what people think of Ange in this situation as we speak. Are they still in, or do they want him gone? So make sure you tune in on Saturday for that. And Luke and Dan, I'll talk to you in a bit, and just to get you to send over your predictions as well. But yeah, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.